Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Noel Zone. And this is the fallout of the 60th. So, we're going to talk some Doctor Who, and I've sent the emails out to our usual panelists. So, obviously, they waited for the trailers all to drop before they come in, which is absolutely fantastic. So we seem to have no issues when I don't have the camera in. So no camera in, unfortunately. Obviously, I'll try use the camera for some of the streams that we do, but not all, unfortunately. And I see we got President Lemon in the chat. We got Martin V, Queen Charlotte, and Nigel Jones. Let's hope you're no relation to Andrew Jones, who just called me a see you next Tuesday. Yeah, I'm getting all from all sides, like, but there you go. What can you do about it? It's funny now at this stage. But who else have we got in the chat? We got Lindsay as well in the chat. I better check me Facebook just real quickly and just see if PD is actually on with us tonight. He might have told me that he wasn't. I just want to double check. I should have done this before, come on, but I was too busy listening to a bit of music, not Christmas music, because there was Christmas music playing here all day. The landscapers were here doing a bit of landscaping, and your man in his van had a Christmas album on, and it was great. You had a mix of some of the British Christmas songs, and of course, some of those real holy songs that we have, Christmas like Silent Night, and all of that, and I love all of that stuff. But I got a bit sick and tired of it because it was all day, so I decided to listen to a bit of my own music, so I got a little bit distracted, but no message there, so I think I just heard the beat there, so that must be the man himself. Yeah, there you go. Great, man. Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to be related to this psycho. Anyway, let's bring on our panelists, because Queen Charlotte obviously is, for anybody that's interested still, Queen Charlotte is going to be giving a review, obviously, of the last episode. Then what we'll do here then is we'll talk briefly about the ratings, of course, and then we will talk about the future, Shooty's 4 special, and what the future is for Doctor Who, or what we think the future might be for Doctor Who after the fallout of the 3 specials. And when I mean fallout, I mean overall. We'll talk about even the people that have liked this, and we'll talk about the people that haven't, and we will try and make our own little predictions, as we always do on this channel with me panel. So let's bring them on, because of course every Wednesday I am never alone on these panels. So let's bring on our guys as usual. We've got royalty on the channel, and it's the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody. I have to apologise on stream for Sunday. I completely forgot it was Sunday. So
it's grand.
That's all on me, folks.
It's grand. I was kind of, because it's not like you to miss one, especially since we decided to do the panel review straight after, because I got to watch the episode live. So I decided that I would do the review panel the next day rather than wait till Wednesday. And when I didn't see, I was a bit worried, but obviously, look, I've been getting me days mixed up. Last week I did the same thing as well, so I know where you're coming from. So it's no biggie. You get to discuss it today, and and of course we're not alone. We got, of course, the one and only Mr. PD Rich joining us. So stream without PD Rich. Just to let you know though, about an hour or two before it came live, Ballstrek did his latest review video. So if you want to go and watch that after this, of course, go and watch that. But don't forget to like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. I don't know where all these new subscribers have come from, but I just want to thank you all for supporting the channel. Of course, we're going to have fun with this, and we'll get straight into it, because of course myself and PD Rich spoke about this extensively on Sunday night. So we'll give Queen Charlotte our opportunity to tell us what she thought of the Giggle. And then I'll ask you the same thing that I asked the whole panelist that night. Then after you can just go through it all, right? You're good, you're bad.
Yeah.
And then give us your rating. And then we will get into the rest. Then we'll get into a summary of the specials overall. And then we'll talk about the ratings and then all the other stuff. So go ahead, Queen Charlotte. The floor is yours. Tell everybody how you felt about the final episode of the 60th finale, The Giggle.
Yeah, overall, I quite enjoyed it, but there was negatives. So I will talk about them first, because for me, it was more, the negatives were like an overall issue that kept popping up in different ways in the episode, but it's the same theme. If that makes sense, when I was reflecting back on what didn't work for me. And I think Russell is showing now an issue, and this was in some of the other specials, is he's not setting stuff up well. He's not explaining things well. Things are just happening because he needs them to. And for me, the whole bi-regeneration, I'm not as angry as other fans, but I can understand perfectly the anger, because my issue with it was there was no setup for it.
I think there was though. I think there was in the very first episode. I think this whole boy, whatever it was, thing that happened between Donna and Rose.
The wording was there, but the actual history and the setup and how regeneration can do this was never.
Oh yeah, because when Shooty comes along, he says something like, "Oh, this is boy regeneration. It's always been a myth," or so I think, or some line like that. And I was like, I've never heard that before. Is that on big? Have you ever heard the boy? I want to actually ask: have you ever heard this myth of boy generation?
And this is what I mean. Maybe you can argue that word was put in the Star Beast, and that could be the idea, maybe. But as an actual new type of regeneration, Russell didn't set it up. It just magics itself into existence in the final part of the episode.
Just before you go on, I want to ask you specifically about that, actually. Do you not think, by what he's done, he diminishes Shooty's doctor, though? I mean, David Tennant's doctor is always going to be lurking there in the background. Should he have went with a traditional regeneration, even though people still would have been confused, the fact that that Jodie regenerated into David's doctor with his clothes on, right? So this boy generation thing kind of explains that part. But do you think if he had went with just a traditional regeneration, that would have been better for Shooty in the long run?
I think, because the thing is, it's now been blatantly set up that we're going to get more adventures of this David Tennant doctor. So while Shooty's doing his first run, as in his first series, there's possibly going to be a Tennant knocking around in a spin-off. So I think, yes, for Shooty as an actual doctor, and to really give him all the space he needs to establish himself, yes, he should have done a normal one. Or my other thought was just have Shooty come in as a future regeneration that knew about the toy maker and came because the toy maker was such a threat. Just something like that. And that was my issue with the bi-regeneration. That, because I was thinking, like, why has this irked me more? Like I said, I'm not as angry as fans, but why has this irked me more than the Meta Crisis, for example? Because it's sort of the same premise in the fact that Russell's playing with regeneration, he's creating a new version of it.
But someone actually made an interesting, someone put out an interesting article, which I think is actually spot on. What he's tried to do with this boy generation is appease the ones that like the timeless children, and kind of appease us fans as well at the same time by not necessarily retconning the timeless children, but it's kind of just there, you know what I mean, sort of thing. But he didn't have to use that mechanism. That was the mechanism he chose to try not, you know what I mean, not upset anybody. This is what I said from the start. You remember this, Charlie? You remember this, PD? I said it. You try to please everybody, you're going to end up in trouble. And I think that's what's happened here. But go ahead, Charlotte.
Well, I compared it to the Metacrisis in reflection in my head. And I would argue that the Metacrisis actually got set up quite well because of the hand being chopped off in the Christmas invasion.
Yeah.
You had the whole line about, oh, I'm so many cycles into my regeneration. So the hand was wasn't just a normal hand being chopped off from a doctor.
Yeah.
It was freshly regenerated in that cycle. Then you had Jack carrying it around. Then you had the series 4 finale where Donna got set up with Dr. Donna. That got hinted at throughout the whole of series 4. And we learned that's what the Dr. Donna was. It was the Ood and other beings knowing the meta-crisis was going to happen. So actually, Russell did a lot of legwork to make the meta-crisis make sense in the canon, in the show, to the fans.
But with this, it was just it was...
There was none.
Why do you think there is, though? But why do you think there is, though? Because, as you've pointed out, he built up the meta-crisis one so well, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think this was such a, I say, rush job? I think that's being nice about it.
Yeah,
but why do you think it was such a rush job?
I think he just... Whereas the meta-crisis to me came... I've always thought it as he had a story idea first.
Yeah.
And then he sort of thought, will that fit? What pieces do I need? Here, I think he just, instead of having a story in his head first, he just wanted Shooty to be in the last 10 minutes of the episode. So when you've got that as your issue and you're trying to solve it, you're not going to have a creative response. Versus, actually, wouldn't it be cool if a companion got involved in regeneration? I'm going to set up Davros with that. You can see he had a story beat with the meta-crisis. It's going to resolve Rose. It's going to give her a doctor she can live with. There were so many aspects.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I honestly think he just was like, I want Shooty to be in the finale against the Toymaker.
But why didn't he just have Shooty? But that's the thing that annoyed me, right? If he had done a traditional regeneration, it would have gave Shooty that 20 minutes for him to go up against the Toymaker.
No, but I think he wanted Tennant and Shooty. He wanted 2 doctors. He wanted those 2 against the Toymaker.
Whereas he couldn't just give it to Shooty, where that could have been Shooty's. You know what I mean? That would have been some. Think about it. For some entrance for a doctor, the first job that he does is defeat the Toymaker. It would have been great. It would have been great. Yeah. I know some people probably would have complained and said, oh, it's pandering and all that. Not to me. That would have been, you've cheated Shooty of that. You've cheated him. And now Tennant lurking in the background is not a good, it's not good. It's not. Go ahead.
Because, like I said, so that was because I've got actually really positive to say about Shooty, which feeds into what you're talking about. This idea of not setting up, I think he didn't set up the idea of this doctor sort of being fed up and being tired and, you got this face back to tell you to stop, basically, that you needed to not keep rushing around and actually settle. For me, that needed to be hinted at in the other 2 specials. Maybe you could have Tennant's doctor being tired more, or you could have him struggling more or something.
But he wasn't. He was acting strange, all right, because we picked up on it. There was something not right with the performance or something like that we were saying. There was something that was off.
This idea of your body's wearing thin.
Yeah.
Which is what they tried in this last special. So I think that's the idea of Russell not actually seeding stuff well and just not setting it up well. I think, and my other main issue, and then I've got quite a lot of positives, so my other main issue is there were so many ideas here that I thought, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
But it didn't have time to breathe.
Yeah.
I thought Mel was incredibly rushed as an entrance. She got one conversation.
Hi, Mel. Bye, Mel. Yeah.
Should this have been a 3-parter, this whole toy maker story? Do you think it would have worked better as a 3-part story?
I think what he could have done was have one to be your sort of Donna meeting the doctor again, then that, because you couldn't do Toymaker with that stuff. That needed to be its own episode.
Right, so an episode to reintroduce all the characters again and lay the foundations then for the second episode.
And then have a second one just extended. Have like a 90-minute run for your second episode. And that just be the Toymaker. And I think you could have, because that was my other thing. Like, I thought I actually thought really good performance from Bonnie, but the problem was she hardly had anything to do.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest,
it sounds like she's going to be in by the sounds of things, because there was a line from Kate Stewart there to Donna.
Oh, we know
Donna is going to be working for Unit as well, which I find hard to believe. I'm sorry, but I do. She was a temp. Right now, she's going to be working for Unit, but Bonnie, what Mel is going to be there and was there because she says she's working. So if they do that spin-off, they're going to be in a former companions. I'm telling you, that's where they'll be. All the former companions will turn up in.
Oh no, it's not. We know she's in an episode of Shooty. Yeah. So I was like, I'm sorry, Russell. Still, even if you knew she was going to be in other stuff,
should have built her up a bit more.
It should have had more time in your special. And I said, this is my last real sort of negative. I felt like, and Mel was a good example, that conversation with Tennant's doctor.
Yeah.
It was lovely, but it made me think of Sarah Jane meeting the doctor again. It had really similar beats.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, they're different characters.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have a conversation, which I'm honestly, if you take out bits of that conversation, I felt like I was watching Sarah Jane again, meeting in school reunion. This sort of, my life was horrible and sad without you vibe. Because I think some companions they'd be like, oh, I'm never going to forget our time and I treasure it and I loved it. But I also had brilliant life outside and I did other stuff and I really value that equally. I think you need a companion to sort of show life after the doctor is also quite exciting and fun. And I thought Mel could have been a good fit for that, honestly. But no, we went down the sort of, oh, I was a bit sad and I didn't have anybody. And then I found Unit and they gave me a job.
Yeah.
So, and that was other little bits that I was just like the whole him settling, I get it. But for me, it was really similar to the Meta Crisis settling with Rose.
But isn't that but this is what I said. Wasn't that the whole reason of the Meta Crisis Doctor in the first place?
Yeah.
Kind of diminishes that now.
As well of family, which I can see the Doctor doing that. I wasn't thinking it's God, this doesn't suit the character. I was just thinking, Russell, you've sort of done this before. And I kept getting little vibes of, oh, that's something I've either seen before or something you've written a little bit similar.
Oh, there was definitely member berries. For sure.
It wasn't just member berries. I felt like there was story beats that he was going back to a little bit.
Maybe because he doesn't have. I don't know. Maybe because he doesn't have any original ideas, or maybe he thought with Tennant's Doctor, that's the way he should have it. It remains to be seen. Anyway, Christmas Day we'll find out what he's really about now, because these specials are over. But can I just read the two super chats that I have there first, guys, before we move on? So Sci-Fi is Life with a $5 super chat just said, just thought of something. What happened to the second Doctor then?
What second? Do you mean Troughton?
Yeah, he couldn't come back because he was changed by the
time. See, the thing about it is, the reason why he says that Sci-Fi is Life is because in an episode of Doctor Who Unleashed, which was covering the Giggle, RTD made the astounding admission that all classic Doctors had also regenerated as well as what we saw on screen.
Yeah, that's the load of rubbish.
Right now, Digby Strawbridge has a $10 super chat. By the way, guys, thank you for these super chats. I really do appreciate it. It does all help. I have to be honest. I'm not going to lie. So I really appreciate it because I know money is tight for fucking everybody right now. I appreciate that. What was so crushing about the 60th was that it could have been great and could have undone the timeless child nonsense and could have provided some accessible fun. Instead, it made the mess worse, says Digby Strawbridge.
Amen to that, Digby. Amen to that.
Have to tell you now, as you know, married man, Cheryl has finally gotten around to watching the 3 specials, but she did try an attempt. She knocked off the Legend of the Sea Devils, by the way, after about 15 minutes. She couldn't
Oh
watch it.
yeah. Don't blame her.
She actually found the mockery of the Sea Devils as well a bit too much. But she watched the Star Beast, she watched Wild Blue Yonder, and she watched the Giggle. And Cheryl's a Doctor Who fan again. She absolutely loved it. So
Because
in this house, because here's the thing, in this house, right? This is a unique situation. I didn't absolutely hate all 3 episodes. People are making out that I hated everything that I saw. No, there was a lot of potential in those 60th anniversary, those 3 episodes. And there were elements of each episode that I loved, right? Particularly the second episode. I thought the second episode, for me personally, was the strongest one out of the whole lot. But Neil Patrick Harris, I thought he was blew me away. I'm being honest. What ruined it for me, the one part that ruined that whole performance for me was the Spice Girls bit. Now that's personal thing. That's just a personal choice, right? So what I did is I did my own edit and I put Billy Piper's song in instead because we want to, and it sounds actually much better and it looks much better. So I'm kind of pissed that RTD didn't do something like that just as a throwback to Billy Piper. That would have been deadly. Use your head like that. But I hated that. I hated that part. I hated that. I didn't mind him dancing and doing all the shit that he did. I just fucking hate that song, and I always have hated that.
That's fair.
Song.
If you hate the song,
right? So him, no problem. When Shooty burst onto the screen, the way he burst onto the screen, I have a problem with. Right? Don't that boy generation shit. No, I won't buy it for 1 second. I'm sorry. Right? I agree with Charlotte. I'm not as angry about that I was angry about the Timeless Child, but still, it's stupid. Right? Listen, what he's done is he's opened up a can of worms now. There's lots of things now that have been left unexplained now because to us Doctor Who fans, see, to the other side, they don't care. They're fickle. They won't ask the questions that we ask. Like, for example, now with this, it's going to change a lot of things that happened in the Doctor's past, right? So we need answers. Is he going to answer that? No, he's not. He's just going to ignore it because if he starts to answer that, then these fans won't stay on board with it. But overall, Shooty, listen, I know he's going to play the Doctor camp. You can tell. You can tell just from him. But did I have a problem with him? No. I actually, believe it or not, I actually quite liked him. I loved the interaction between him and Tennant. I didn't like when he'd start looking lovingly into the Doctor's eyes. Now, I will say that, like I was saying, Jesus, Russell, give it a fucking break now. If this Doctor's going to be gay, that's fine. Do it in your David Tennant, like he's Rose Tyler, like come on. Do you know what I mean? That's why I have a problem. By the way, I just want to make clear, I don't want the Doctor to be gay. He's asexual, right? But let's be honest. I think I'm not saying that's how Russell will make him play it, but I have to see. I mean, I saw the Christmas trailer. We'll get into that a little bit later. But look, overall, Shooty for me would have been okay as the Doctor. Problem is, he's got a showrunner that I believe, and maybe I don't know if Charlotte believes this, but I certainly believe is not at his Doctor Who powers anymore. He might be great at doing shows like It's a Sin, Years and Years, and all those other hit shows that he done. But I think Doctor Who, his time is past with Doctor Who, and it had been, and that's why he left the first time. I don't think. Look, I know I wanted him back. Of course I did. A lot of fans wanted him back, right? But seeing what he's produced now, he's just not good enough. We need to move away from bringing fans in, writing the show that have become producers and directors. It has to stop.
I think what's like my frustration, because like I said, now actually there was bits of the Giggle that I really liked. Like there's no denying that. Those bits that I was like, I feel like this is the closest to Who I've watched in years.
The scene with the dolls with Donna in the room.
Yeah.
That was fucking deadly, that was.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. That was a great scene. Why couldn't he give us more scary shit like that, though? What do you know what I mean? Like, he gives you moments. That's what I felt. I think that's the best way to describe his 60th. He gave us moments, but not enough of them, or enough of a story foundation to pull it all together. I mean,
yeah, I because for me, like, people know dolls, like ventriloquist, old-fashioned ones, freak me out. So this was like pure perfect nightmare fuel for me. Like that whole scene with the woman doll, the effects were so good on the face. Like the accent and the way it was written, even the writing was scary. That was old fashioned. That made me think of Old Fashioned Who, either classic or New Who, of that sort of creepy, scary, really going for the, like, what they know the producer knows is going to get people scared. And it was like the little babies coming down slowly from the ceiling on her head. And actually, if I'm like you, for me, the toy maker going in was something I was excited about. But for me, that was the best part of the 60th, because for me, it was casted perfectly. I think Neil Patrick Harris got that sort of crazy and unrestrained, but then really sinister. Like, he could do the sort of the fluffy fun bits of, like, oh, I'm in the shop with a German accent being very twee.
Oh, but that scene with him and Tennant, though, where he's juggling the balls, I fucking love that. I'm telling you now.
Like, he could be that sort of twee sort of fun, but then on a dime, he could turn and it would be like, this is the godlike entity that doesn't care, that just wants to do what it wants to do.
Unfortunately, how he's defeated was crap.
Oh, yeah.
Like that stuff when he was toying, and that's like, even not, I'm just not using that as a pun here, it was toying with the whole puppet show with the
companions. Yeah,
that was brilliant. Both acting and writing, to sort of.
Josh.
And like,
so it's okay then. It's okay then. He kept saying, "So it's okay then."
Yes, and that's what and for me, there was moments in the Giggle that actually showed that Russell does know the Doctor and he can write brilliant Doctor stuff. And like I said, it was the fact that he was like, "Oh, Amy Pond," and it was like she died, and the Doctor came out with, "No, she's alive." And the next one, Clara, she died, and it was excuse after excuse after excuse, and you could tell the Doctor was doing it to sort of lessen the guilt and make him not feel so bad about the fates of his companions. And it was this lovely interplay of, like you said, him going, "Well, that's okay then," and it was the toy maker sort of going for the jugular to be like, "Oh, if you say
I love
it's
it then when Donna turns to him and goes, "Is all of this true?" And he just doesn't answer her. Like that was a moment as well that I saw, because Donna's face at that moment when she realized what happened to the other companion, because there's even a line in it as well where you're saying he brings back some of the stuff, like it felt like very Sarah Jane. Well, there's an exact line in it where what was the line again? I was about, it was on the tip of my tongue and it's gone.
You don't mention.
Yeah, you don't mention your, how come you never mentioned her? And that was the same thing that Rose had said to him when Sarah Jane came onto the scene in School Reunion, which is still one of my favorite episodes.
And that line worked versus some of the other stuff, because you had that line, which was a very clear callback, but you had the new stuff, which was the toy maker, the sort of the puppets, the sort of that when we saw it in the trailer, but it was still a brilliant scene when he goes, "I don't know if I can keep you safe." Can't remember the exact wording. And you could tell he was so et up about.
He was petrified.
Donna might die.
Yeah, he was petrified. He actually was petrified.
He was absolutely petrified. And also, and that whole and when they were in the toy maker domain, I think I love the Murray music. It was this sort of warped, like whole like fairground attraction noise. It was so perfect for toy maker.
Murray's music was spot on in that episode.
Yeah, this is probably, I want to be honest, I've not noticed a lot of the newer Murray stuff in the other two specials. I noticed it here because it really added to the atmosphere, to the feeling of.
It did.
Almost. As soon as they stepped into those doors, you got this sense of anything's possible. The Doctor's not safe. Donna's not safe. They're sort of the lesser beings now. They're the pawns in the toy maker's game. And that's what you needed for this villain. See, for me, even though I'm not a lover of the Spice Girls, I thought that scene in Unit, I think it was perfect for Toymaker. It showed the sort of the how much power he had, how much he could just instantly change stuff without like any effort. And it just sort of really showed that you're playing with a god. And that's what I wanted with the Toymaker. And for me, having the music actually worked because it was, I think, Russell, and he proved this before, and in moments he proved it again for me in the Giggle, he can take absurd and make it work. And that was a moment of utter absurdness, but it just worked.
So why is it he can't help himself to right? So I do agree with you. I think he can get I mean, Love of Monsters is absolutely absurd, right? Now I know a lot of people hate that story, right? But I don't because there's a serious undertone to that story. Forget about the alien. You know what I mean?
Oh, with
but
the human aspect, yeah.
Yeah. But that story has dark undertones. I mean, a little kid, Eldon, met the doctor the night his mother died. Do you know what I mean? So it's got that serious undertone. Of course, people just remember the fat alien that Peter Kay was playing, the Zorbeloff, and the slab. But here's the thing: he could do it in moments. So why is he self-sabotaging himself? Because I do believe with all of this modern crap that he wants to inject into Doctor Who, he's actually self-sabotaging himself.
Yeah.
He can do it to a certain level, but is it still good enough for Doctor Who now in 2023, though, Charlotte?
But I'll just get through a couple more positive because then this is on my whole view.
Yeah, go
on. Yeah, and I think the absurdness worked with that dancing moment because it made me think of another moment, but actually I thought, no, you've done it better here, and that was the Master moment when he played that Scissors Sister song.
Oh, I thought the Master one was better.
No, I thought for me, the Master scene, I was like, no, the Master wouldn't play a stupid pop song to sort of taunt the Doctor. To me, that didn't suit the character. But here with the Toymaker, he's like, once again, he's playing. He's showing what he can do. The fact that he can turn people into little inflatable balls. He can turn bullets into rose petals. He can appear from a door from nowhere. He can make Kate Stewart twizz around and hit the wall like she's about to be knocked out. That's why this sort of deadly childlike glee, and that's to me the Toymaker, whereas the Master, that's not the Master. So the song didn't work for me then. Here it did. And obviously I don't think none of us can really tell Shooty yet. We need to see him in a full episode. And I'm not denying, he did have some campness.
For 20 minutes, though, he was in the episode for 20 minutes, and I thought he held his own for the limited. I mean,
yes, and
for God's sake, why Russell had to keep him in his boxer shorts, though? But now we know it's actually David Tennant's fault, because David Tennant or something, they shot the scene separately or something, and what happened was David Tennant got to choose the clothes that he wanted to wear. So Shooty was left with whatever was left. So Shooty was obviously left in his boxer shorts. But you think he would have put bloody trousers on him, though? He was on screen for 20 minutes with no bloody pants on. Come on.
Yeah, no, that's just what I mean. There's no denying there was campness there. And I can't deny that. And some of his performances, some of Shooty's lines were quite playful in that sort of way.
Yeah, they were playful.
That's if I was not in the Toymaker way, in a more sort of friendly, sort of jovial sense, but it was there. But actually, there was a scene which has made me go, actually, I think Shooty could play this part. Obviously, it's very early and we don't know yet fully, but it's that scene in the TARDIS when everything sort of settles down. And the Donna's trying to convince Tennant that your face has come back because you need to stop. And he's not listening to her. And it's when he has that conversation with Shooty, and Shooty starts to talk, say, think about what we've been through. We've been exiled. And he goes through all the loss the Doctor's faced, all the hardships. And he starts naming especially Adric, all River, all the people they've lost. And for me, I felt the weight of the Doctor in Shooty. I felt, he feels old. He feels like that old soul, which I think the Doctor needs. And when
he's just got to be a bit more fun-loving, this Doctor.
Maybe, yeah. But like for me, like
when I like me Doctors miserable and depressed. That's what makes them the Doctor, like, because that's why they go and do the things that they do. If Shooty's Doctor is going to be optimistic like Whittaker's, I mean, Whittaker's Doctor, let's be honest, was optimistic. It's just trouble followed her everywhere and she destroyed the universe.
Well, I actually think and I've seen a few people make this comparison, and I can see a little bit why. I think obviously we can't tell fully yet. Matt's Doctor on the surface was very happy, was very outgoing, was very childlike, but actually
turn on a dime.
There was a real sort of undercurrent.
Yeah, he was he played he was a young looking Doctor, but he played an old Doctor.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It came across well. His facial, like we've always said about Matt Smith. Matt Smith's work is in his facial expression, not just the dialogue. Yes. Right? So when you look at him and he's doing a scene and he's convincing you that he's this 900-odd-year-old or 1,000-year-old Time Lord, you believe it.
Yeah, and for me, once Shooty was saying some of that dialogue to Tennant about his past, about the Doctor's past, there was a weight there. There was I'm getting this weight, this old soul a little bit. I'm getting weariness a little bit. I'm getting that these people actually meant a lot that the Doctor lost.
But why does David Tennant's Doctor? This is another question I will ask.
Yeah.
And I'd love to ask RTD with all the highest respect. Right? But why David Tennant's Doctor be the one that gets the bailout? And be the one that gets
Once again, I think he didn't explain it. It was this idea and it should have had more time.
Should have not been Peter. See, this would have made more sense to me. Not bringing back 10, but you bring back Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Because Peter Capaldi was the one. Because by the time we get to his Doctor, he's the Doctor then that's kind of, you see it. He keeps he's losing people left, right, and fucking center. Like no matter what he does, it just doesn't seem. So his Doctor, if he had been the one to come back, this whole thing would have made a lot more. Well, the last episode anyway.
I agree. Peter would have been the perfect fit. Even Matt could have worked because of him losing Amy and Rory.
Yeah.
We saw how much that impacted his Doctor. That he literally grieved and he put himself on a cloud until.
That's what I mean. David Tennant's Doctor also grieved because he was horrible to Martha Jones when he first met her. Do you know what I mean? So he went through his grieving process and then he gets to meet Rose again. So this whole thing with, I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, no, honestly,
it's a fixation, isn't it, really?
I think Russell, this is what I'm going to say for my whole feeling in a minute. I'm trying to think, is there any more positives? Music, toy maker, some really, like, I like some really, I actually quite liked a bit of some of Shooty's stuff in this. And this is now my overall feeling.
Well, give your rating for the episode first.
For the Giggle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm going to go from my head. I think I gave Starpiece 6. I gave Wild Blue 8, I think, from a memory.
Yeah. So this has to be, if this is better than Wild Blue Yonder, then this has to be a 8 or a 9, at least.
Yeah.
Would you give it an 8 or a 9 though, looking back on it though? With all of the things that you've mentioned. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've
Yeah, no,
thought
I'm
about this as well. I gave it, what did I give it? Did I give it a 7 or something?
Yeah.
I think I gave it my highest mark. I did really enjoy Neil Patrick Harris's performance. I'm not going to lie. And I love the interaction between him and the Doctor. And I did love the bit of dialogue between, obviously, the companions and the Doctor. But again, I do agree with you with the, Mel stuff. It did feel rather familiar. But I did give it, I think I gave it a 7. Which was the highest
okay.
that I
I
gave
know
it.
what I'm going to give it. Even though I enjoy it more, I can't give it a 9. I just can't. So I'm going to go with 8 again.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm going to be honest with myself. If it's a 9, that means it's really close to being like perfect to me. And there
Well,
were
it's not. It's not at the level. Let's be honest, right? Let's name a few of the new Who 10s. Midnight, Heaven Sent. I would say the God Complex is a 10 as well. That one in the hotel. That's freaky as shit.
I love that one.
Right. So they're 10s, right? Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And the Empty Child Doctor Dances, right? So is this better than any of them?
Oh,
I
God.
would have no. So that's
Nowhere
how
near.
you judge it. So I think your rating is probably fair for the way you've analysed the rest of it. But just there's a few people. I've got another super chat, but a few people have given their scores as well. So let's see what they've said. So we'll read the scores in the chat first, real quickly, because the super chat up on the screen there. So we have so President Lemon gives a 3.5 Wild Blue Yonder. I have to say I did enjoy that episode. Did you notice that the politics were completely out of it, and it almost immediately was a better episode? And you give the Giggle 2 out of 10. I reckon the reason why for the low scores, right? And I'm not criticizing anybody that's giving it a low score. Listen, I have me problems with this whole 60th, right? I could do fucking multiple streams on it, right? I don't really hold out. We'll get to the other bit now in a minute, but I'm one of those that don't think this show is going to survive past Shooty's second season.
Same
but there was a lot of potential here, and he squandered it. But Lindsay thinks all the specials was a mess, to put it kindly. Overall, he gives the lot 4 out of 10. President Lemon. Martin V, who also gave us a super chat. So I'll read out his super chat first. John Pertwee, a £5 super chat. John Pertwee is my favourite Doctor. Love his era so much. Been watching The Claws of Axios lately. One of my favourites. Also love the Demons, or the Demons. And then you wrote 4 out of 10 for the Starbee, 6 out of 10 for Wild Blue Yonder, and 6 out of 10 for the Giggle for me. My 10 out of 10 episodes: Blink, Midnight, The 11th Hour, and Dalek. Do you know what? I wouldn't disagree with you there. They're definitely, I mean, Blink was I still think, well, Blink is a good introduction to the Weeping Angels. But for me, Flesh and Stone and that other 2-parter that I can never mention, but that 2-parter is the best Weeping Angel story for me personally, I think. Cybermat Strikes gives 7 for the Giggle. Sorry about that. Where did that come from? 6 out of 10 for me, says the General Grievous 19. The Starbee 7.5 out of 10 for Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle was a 9 out of 10. Yes, I'm really generous. There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. As I said, I didn't hate any of these. There was loads of stuff. I told them that you love it. Don't worry. They all know. They all know. That's what I have to put up with. See, in this house, though, we've agreed that we're going to watch the... See, this is the sad thing. This is how we got together through this show. We met because of Doctor Who and the Doctor Who group. And then we ended up falling in love and getting married and all of that, right? the sad thing is we can't watch Doctor Who together anymore. And so, you know, she's gone to watching it on her own now, and she enjoyed it. As I said, though, she couldn't watch the end of Whittaker's era. She went just straight into the specials. I told her she had to, you know, she had to watch Flux because it'd be mentioned in one of the and they wouldn't know what they were talking about. So she went and watched that. But she loved the 60th anniversary. So, you know, there you go. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either. It had potential, but RTD needs, listen, for me, we'll get into the overall now, right? So we'll ask Queen Charlotte the overall as well, and then PD if he wants to add a bit more to what he added on Sunday. But all I'm just going to say is this, is RTD will have to improve vastly on what he did produce for the 60th, in my opinion. Now, if the trailer is anything to go by on Disney Plus and the comments from RTD are anything to go by, Doctor Who is going to move further away from the genre of sci-fi and it's going to become more fantasy. Now, while Stephen Moffat did that, he still had sci-fi in it.
Yeah.
Sci-fi was its core. But it looks like the core is going to be removed from Doctor Who now, and it's going to become a fantasy show. Now, I will not be happy with that personally, but the one thing that's going to hinder RTD, which I believe hindered him for the 60th, was the fact that he did try to appease everybody. And I said, as soon as he tries to do that and please everybody, it's going to fall apart. And I'm sorry, but the theme for this year's Christmas special does not fill my heart with any joy or give me any hope. If you have a song about eating and roasting and putting salt on babies, right? And then the sycophants in this fandom made that song go to #1, by the way, for a day, right? So I want to make that clear. It was only a fucking day. But still, that song that's in that episode went to #1 in some iPod chart or whatever. It's not a
Apple
proper
chart,
chart,
yeah.
but anyway, right? So that's the theme, goblins, right? Doctor Who is going to have goblins, folks, right? So we're heading into Lord of the Rings territory here, fucking Game of Thrones, all of these fantasy fucking things. That's where Doctor Who is heading, right? We've got to be another big ass pirate ship now. We saw the big ass, but they're on a big ass ship, right? Looks like a pirate ship flying in the sky. I think we've seen that somewhere before, but hey, shh, say nothing. Listen, all joking aside, Shooty is who I feel sorry for. Because do I think he was given the best possible springboard? Absolutely not. Bringing David Tennant back was a smart idea on paper to try win fans over. But unfortunately, we have seen that that's not the case. David Tennant is no longer the pull that he once had. And even Catherine Tate, unfortunately, they just not in this fandom. I'm sorry. I think you would have had a better impact bringing Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper back. And on Christopher Eccleston, or Matt Smith. But can I just say on Christopher Eccleston, he was asked at a recent Awesome Con or something like that. He was asked at a recent, what would it take for him to go back to Doctor Who? He said, sack RTD, sack Phil Collinson, sack fucking Julie, whatever face is. Sack them all, and then he'll go back to Doctor Who. And that was only said a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right? So, he's finally coming out now. Listen, I used to call him a bitter old man. I'll tell you what I did yesterday. I spent the day listening to Christopher Eccleston at these fan events and listening to his answers. What I could tell you is obviously what was reported with the John Barrowman stuff. As we know, they were saying there were toxicity and shit happening behind the scenes. Well, Christopher Eccleston has literally confirmed everything. the politics pushed him out. He said he didn't want to dwell on it, but you could tell that this has bitterly hurt this man. It has. And I'm actually starting to feel sorry for him now, because I think it consumed him so much that he says it doesn't bother him, but you could see he has consumed him so much. He's so out straight, right? He was asked why, he started doing conventions, and his answer was, well, because I'm broke, I have kids, and I nearly went bankrupt. Right, so he said it out straight. He says, "I'd love to come."
Lad.
Yeah,
He's
but he said it.
Yeah.
He said, "I'd love to say to you all here that I'm here because I love you all, but I'm here because I'm broke." He admitted the crowd loved him for it. This is the thing; they loved his fucking brutal honesty. But he did say it, right. There was one sweet moment, right? There's someone asked a question in the audience: if you could have if you could choose a companion to go anywhere in time and space with, who would you pick? And he goes, nobody. And he looks to Billy Piper and goes, that's my Rose.
He adores her. You can see that.
Seriously. He goes, why would I? He says, Rose. He actually gave a slight little dig towards what RTD had done with David Tennant, Doctor, and Billy Piper and the whole romance. Because he says what he liked about those two is that wasn't there. It didn't get confused. And then he actually spoke about how they helped each other on the show because the two of them were going through shit. But you could tell this is eating away at this man. This man feels wronged, and it looks like he has been. And listen, I just want to say something. Actually, I think it was a few months back, there was an article about what's her face that's playing Millie Gibson. Apparently Millie Gibson was being a bit of a diva backstage, back behind the scenes and all of that.
Mirror report,
and a mirror report, right? So even now it looks like that there may be some sort of stuff going on behind the scenes. Apparently, look, he's praised RTD for some of his writing, but I love the fact though that he said, Joe O'Hearn is his favorite director or something, because he says, he directed 7 of the 13 of those episodes. That's why they were so good, because he understood my Doctor. He was asked what he said. By the way, what do you think his favorite? What do you think Christopher Eccleston's favorite Doctor Who story is? Does anybody in the chat know? I'll ask you guys on the panel. Do you know what his favorite story is? And I'm telling you now, right, you will love him even more because it's most people's favorite. Not the obvious one, which would be Dalek, but he does like that one. By the way, he said with Dalek, his father was diagnosed with dementia at that time. And that episode where you see him getting angry, he said he used that episode to get the anger out of him because of what was happening to his father.
Yeah.
So, Sadako has got it in one.
Oh, really?
He says to him that it was directed by I think Joe as well, and he liked and Stephen Moffat. But you know what he said? Listen to this. What he said. He said Stephen Moffat was the only one that understood his Doctor more than anybody else. That's why he loves those 2 episodes. That's the Doctor he wanted to be in those 2 episodes. So clearly the politics going on behind the scenes. RTD wanted the Doctor to go in a different direction than what Chris wanted it to go, and maybe Moffat as a writer wanted the Doctor to go. So I think Shooty's Doctor now is going to be RTD's redemption in his eyes of doing the Doctor the way he wanted it. Because remember, even under the BBC, he would have been given restrictions of what he could do with Tennant's Doctor and so on. So now the shackles are off. Now we're going to actually get to see what potentially a Christopher Eccleston Doctor would have been like with Shooty now. It's sad though, watching his interviews, watching the people asking questions, he got kind of uncomfortable with some as well. You could tell it's eating away at him. But I can tell you one thing, by Billy Piper's reaction to everything that
yeah.
he was saying was the most telling of the whole lot, because she had a little smirk on her face, and sometimes she actually just sat there and looked at him as if she wanted to give him a hug. I'm telling you, those two are bonded during
Yes.
Doctor Who, and that bond has never broken. You can tell, and they went through shit together. Not only doing that show, and the way he defended her, right, saying that there was a lot of snobbery when she was cast because she was the pop star, and which there was, because remember the media were all coming out and all Billy Piper, new companion, like they were all kind of like saying she wouldn't have the acting chops and all of that. And he says, soon she come in, she was frightened, she was, and I took her under my wing and blah, blah, blah. Oh, man. And then he was going through his problems and she could sense it and stuff. And then when David came in, then because she had a season under her belt, she felt like she had to help David then, because he was scared shitless. And then Eccleston, the only time he was actually not, he turned around and said, oh, I kind of get that, yeah, because you were scared when you came in and I helped you, so it would only be right that you'd go and help Tennant. And that was a lovely, sweet moment as well. But I tell you something, that whole thing, those last few months that he's been doing stuff,
I think
he's
it's
come out with
timing
some.
now as well. Like that stuff's just coming out now, or it's been like circulated, talked about now.
I think he's looking.
Everything.
I settle a
think
few scores.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I've got a feeling now, and this will feed into like the whole feeling now of the fandom and the fallout. I think this has been timed a bit. At a time when the ratings are known to have gone down, it's known that the specials, I will say honestly, I think a lot of ranged/divided views on the specials, they've not been a home run by any stretch. So that's what I mean. Like fandom's really like divided, as in like some people loved it, some people hated it, some people liked bits of it, some people hated bit, like this sort of feeling.
He's humbled by the fans. See, this is the
yeah.
thing. He said, you know, he avoided conventions for years because he didn't need to do them. He's very openly honest, like, and I like that. That's fresh. It's nice to see an actor coming out and saying, yeah, listen, you know, didn't want to come to these because, and he actually said to the audience, I feel like I'm ripping you all off because I criticized him for the prices he was charging, but apparently he doesn't set the fucking prices. None of them do.
How does he know?
It depends on their popularity, and then that's what judges their yoke. But he said it to the crowd. He says, I feel like I do be ripping you off like here. This is why I didn't want. I feel uncomfortable doing these, and you can tell when he's sitting in the seat, so he is feeling uncomfortable. He doesn't. I don't know. To him, the way he talks about his mother and father. His mother and father were the biggest influence in Christopher Eccleston's life, by the way. And 3 English school teachers, but his parents were the foundation for who he became. And he credits them for a lot of stuff, but they instilled hard work into him, right? Because he's seen his parents struggle. He said his mother could have had her own company, and his dad could have been this, but because of the class structure in England, his dad and his mother never got the opportunities that now he has, right? But they instilled that work ethic into him. And I think when he goes to these conventions and stuff, I kind of understand it now. He doesn't see it as work. Do you know what I mean? It's too. So when he goes there and he's getting this money for going there, he's like, well, I haven't really earned it. You know, that sort of way.
Yeah.
And now it's made me appreciate him because I've given him stick over the years. You know that. So I hold me hands up and say, I've misjudged this man. Completely. You've got to listen to him. You got to listen to it. Listen, do I agree with everything that he says? No, absolutely not. Yeah. He's a bit of an activist as well. We won't get into that. But this is very interesting that, you know, Charlotte is right. This timing is perfect, but he feels the love from the fans. And I think he understands that if someone does come after him, the fans will leap to his defense, because a lot of people said to him, you are my fault. Listen, I watched Classic Who, but you reintroduced Doctor Who to me. I'll be forever grateful. And you could tell every single person that said that to him, even with Billy, she was like humbled. I mean, you could tell, look.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if his head for so many years, because of how popular Tennant got, he was like, I'm the forgotten one. I'm the one that's got left by the wayside.
Never was. I said he should have got a second series. I've always been saying it.
Oh, yeah,
he's the most underrated doctor. I'm telling you now.
In his head,
we were
because
robbed.
of the Tennant sort of golden boy, like everybody loved him vibe, he sort of felt that. And now I agree with you.
We were robbed.
Yeah.
We were robbed of at least 2 seasons with that man. We were robbed.
Yeah,
we were absolutely robbed, right?
I will say this.
He deserved another fucking run at it. He was. Do you know what? That man, I swear, if I could. Do you know what? When I was listening to these fans, I wouldn't have a question for him. I would tell him my story and say where my life was in 2004 and how low I was. And then I found out the show was coming back. And when I saw him for the first time on screen, and what scene made me say, yeah, he is the doctor. The scene where he's talking to Rose and he drops a hand, he hears the about the earth spinning and all of that. That to me was the scene that he was the doctor, right? And I wanted to tell him and Billy Piper, and I would tell them now, right now, I wouldn't be around if it wasn't for those two, right? I wouldn't be, because if they hadn't pulled off that first episode, right, and that had been shit, I probably would have went spiraled even further. But because it brought me back to my childhood, which it did, and it was just everything I wanted. Listen, it's aged badly now, but I still am very fond of that episode, Rose, and it's one of Christopher Eccleston's as well. It's one of his, because it's the perfect entrance of a companion and all of that stuff. But I would tell him that. That's what he done for me. That's what Billy done for me. They were going through their own shit as well, but I want them to know so was I. And maybe the way he played the doctor resonated with me, and that's what kept me alive. That's what kept me going. So, yeah, that's what I would say to him. I wouldn't even have a question for him. That's what I would like to say to him. So, to some fans out there, just want him to know he's appreciated. He's not underrated to some of us fans. If Anthony was fucking poorly treated and he deserves better, he's like Paul McGann. He's that doctor that deserved to be the doctor longer than for what he fucking was. And I would love to tell him to his face. Yeah. He kept me alive. I'm here today because of him and Billy. And Billy. And if it wasn't for those two, I wouldn't eventually have met my wife either, because obviously if the show hadn't been successful, so I owe them everything. So I hope he genuinely does feel the love from the fans and understands it, because there are some of us out there that really do. I was gutted, devastated when his doctor left. I didn't even want David Tennant, but obviously he proved to be a good doctor. He did. David Tennant was a great doctor, I'm not going to lie. But I was gutted. I was absolutely devastated. I wasn't even sure if I was going to tune in and watch the Christmas special. I was that heartbroken. I still have the original TARDIS box set still to this day. I've never let it go. You can get the flat version, but I've actually got the TARDIS shaped version
one as well.
Right? That's the one that was released first, and I got me fucking hands on one of them, and I still have it since from 2005, and it's still here now. It's got a bit of rip on one of the side doors, but overall, it's in a good condition, right? Never let it go. It's still my favorite box set to this day, with all the stuff that you got with it, the little stickers and the little booklets explaining all it was brilliant, man. Brilliant. I just hope he knows that he is loved by a lot of us out there.
Well, I just want to say this, though, Noel. I mean, as someone who's worked in toxic environments, I do not blame him one bit for getting out. They are horrible. You don't want to work in one. It's just because you end up getting dragged down, you end up getting depressed, and you end up getting rebellious. So I think he did the right thing in the end of just getting the hell out.
No, I'm glad he did, and I wish I had understood him a bit more.
Yeah, if I would have known how toxic,
not judged him so quickly, because after watching those after watching those fans ask him those questions, see his body, his behavior, his mannerisms, and when he was talking about those things, as I said, it's eating him up inside. But I just want him to know that he meant a lot to us all, and still does, and he still fucking does. And I tell you, he says that he wishes that some of those big Finnish audios, he says they're that good of quality that they should be on TV. Well, do you know what? There's nothing that would make me and a lot of other Doctor Who fans so fucking happy. We've wanted you back. We wanted you back for the 50th, but it didn't work out. We would have, in fairness, though, we would have liked you to be in the 60th, but again, we can understand why. Now I can understand why you didn't want to be in it. But I hope one day, when all of this, when this show moves to different hands, and you're comfortable coming back, and you still have a spring in your step, and you're still willing to do it, I would love to see you back as the Doctor. Absolutely. One last adventure. Yeah, why not? You and Paul McGann. Do you know what? That'd be the one. You want to do a multi-Doctor story? Yes. There's your multi-fucking Doctor. And know what? No. Throw in fucking Peter Capaldi and Matt Smith for good fucking measure as well. Because Tennant has showed up enough now anyway, right? Give those other Doctors a fucking limelight for a change. You want your Doctor verse? There's one.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah, but as I said, if I would have known back then, it was a toxic environment, because I heard rumours. This just confirmed everything. If I would have known his depart, I would have said, fair enough. I wouldn't have said, moany old nine's going on again. But as I know now, like I say, it's fair enough, and I apologise to the man for calling him Moany Old Nine. But we know what's happened now. It's like a septic tank. It's all the shit starting to rise to the top, like it always.
Remember,
does.
He was Air Force Doctor back in the New Who era. Doctor Who would not have been a success if it wasn't for him.
It's hard being a front man on a show that you don't know is going to succeed or is going to fail. And that's what he went through. That's what the pressure was on him. That's why he was getting a bit pissed off in the end as well. Because, it's like, it could be the entire Swan Song. It could have made one season. BBC could have laughed at it, and it could have failed, and that would be it. But it didn't. It started picking up. And it was getting 7 million ratings every week.
Right, well, let's move on to the future, because obviously RTD now is in charge again.
I thought he was only here for three episodes.
So he's got the 60th done. It's dusted. The dust is settled. Right. For me, not as successful as the 50th. They can deny it all they want.
The 50th was way better.
Right. Way better, I'd agree. But Shooty. Can he succeed as the Doctor first of all? Or is it RTD going to be the one that's going to scupper the greatness, if there, as because this could be great. That's the thing. This could be great, because I've seen something in Shooty. I agree with you, Charlotte. I've seen something in Shooty that tells me it can work.
He's got talent. Yeah, there's something.
He definitely has talent. But is the writer or the producer, RTD, is he going to be the stumbling block like I believe Chibs was? Don't get me wrong, Whittaker had our limitations, right? We won't get into that. But what I'm saying is Chibnall's writing also didn't help Whittaker. Is Shooty going to be in a similar position? And if that is the case, do you think too serious, which he's obviously going to be doing, that we know of, and there's recent talks about a third one, but he says he's grown into the role, but he hasn't actually confirmed whether he'll do a third series. If it continues to go in the same vein as we saw with the 60th, with the first episode, let's just say, can Shooty survive a third series? Can he make it to third series? Can the show continue on BBC? What do you think will happen there, Charlotte?
Very quickly. Hello, Type 4 team. That's Dan.
Hey, Dan.
I don't know at this point, because I feel like the 60th as a whole thing, and I'll lead it into Russell's writing for this new era. I agree with you. There was moments where it was really good, but there was also really bad, really bad dialogue, in your face politics. Like I said, for me, it was like shortcuts. So he wanted to get to a certain point, he just would make it happen, not set it up. But then there was some brilliant character moments. There was some lovely bits of dialogue. There was some really good realization of characters for me. So I think it all depends on that first series of Shooty. If there's enough quality scripts in that first series to match Shooty actually establishing his doctor, actually getting really good performances, then I think, yeah, we could have 3 series of Shooty. I think that isn't an issue. But let's say that on the flip side, we have that first series. I think it's 8 episodes we're getting. I can't quite remember. I don't know if it's 8 or 9 off my head.
8 and 9, including the Christmas special.
Yeah.
So it starts off with a Christmas special, like Tennant's era did.
You get out of those 8 episodes, 5 of them are Star Beast quality when it comes to writing. I'm saying not performances, purely on the writing. Then the show, yes, I think is going to start to struggle. Because as we've seen, those overnight viewing figures, they should have been bigger.
They're terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They should have been bigger. They're not an all-out failure. I know.
No.
I think I think the fandom's done sort of 2 things here. Some have overhyped them. Some have under sort of said, "Oh, they're terrible." They're not.
Well, they said it's the best drama launch in 5 years, and that may be the case,
but
right?
we've not had any drama launches this year. Come on.
But in fairness, though, the quality in the last 5 years has been terrible. Again, what the big point the kids seem to be missing here, and I just want to point this out. Someone even tried to make the excuse, well, this wasn't a Christmas special. No, it wasn't.
An anniversary special.
But you see, it was an anniversary special. And you see, you compare it to specials that you had from previous. You compare it to the last anniversary special. The 50th was the benchmark.
Yeah.
Right? For Modern Who. Sorry, because for people out there, the classic Who, they'll start no. For Modern Who, the 50th was the benchmark for anniversary specials. So if it didn't even get half the numbers that did. This isn't a success no matter which way you try.
What you can say about those numbers is they are respectable. That's the word I would use.
Right now at this time, yes. Are they a total failure? No. They're respectable, but we have seen already that there is the downward trend happening right now. It is a slow decline.
That's the problem now, that I was so surprised they got a dip in that final episode on overnight viewers. Because I was thinking, even if people might not have watched the first 2 or they might have heard things, they might go, well, I watched the last one. It's Tennant's Regeneration. It's the final of the specials.
No.
So to me, that shows there is something in this writing that is putting people off.
That's what I mean. But the other side will say it's not the writing, it's the fact that we can't move with the show, that the show is forever changing, and we've got to change that. We're basically stuck in their ways and we need to change, go with the times like they do. But someone says to me that the show has to freshen. Well, if you don't like this version of Doctor Who, you can leave, the usual stuff. And I says, why would you want to mess around with a formula that has worked for over 50 years?
And it's not just that. And we've all said this. They've just come off a really rocky, divided, not well-received era.
Yeah.
So your next era has to establish the show again. It has to get fans back. It has to be stabilizing almost. And that's what the special should have been. They should have been that. Let's try and get the old fans back, the established fans, maybe get some new fans. TV's never going to not want to do that. But this should have been almost like a rallying call for the fandom again to come back to this show.
Yeah.
And it wasn't with the overnights. And actually,
No.
and I said this on our Type 40 stream, like the whole talk of going over these 3 specials, it's not been about the writing. Or did you see that? Like I said, I've heard a bit more with the Giggle, like some more actual praise of Neil Patrick Harris, for example, or certain beats. But actually, still, a lot of the talk is about controversy. It's about casting decisions or dialogue or characters, or with the bi regeneration thing now. It's not talk about the show like we got 2005 when it was we were all talking about Doctor Who, but we were talking about what we loved, what we hated, what that sort of fan talk.
We were talking about that fan stuff. We were talking about fan stuff.
We're not doing that during the 60th specials.
No.
Like I said, I've heard a bit more because of, like I said, certain things in the Giggle that work for fans, which is brilliant. So there's no momentum. There hasn't been. It's been this sort of really stilted feel for me, the specials, that they've come on without a lot of fanfare, without being advertised a lot. And they've lost viewers every overnight. It'll be interesting to see the consolidated if that.
Well, the consolidated but the consolidated for the other 2 episodes is what they're using now to justify it because the same TV habits have changed. But I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain this again, right?
I was going to say
just one last time. The overnights are the ones that count. Consolidated don't count because the thing about it is it's the live audience that they're going after. Yeah. Why do you think prime time, Saturday night prime time, is such a big? Why do you think there always has been? Obviously not in recent years now because they're all shite programs. But ITV, Channel 4, BBC always used to compete to see who would have the best shows, right? The overnights are the only figures that count. The consolidated figures the consolidated figures are bloated anyway. For the simple fact of the matter is that now it's not 5 minutes apparently, it's 2 minutes,
isn't it?
And it counts as a view. So you're not actually seeing who's watching live on the night, right? That's why the overnights are so fucking important. They can tell who's watching and how long they're watching actually for, and then they put out the rating. The consolidated figures are bloated. The same with these streaming services like Disney. When they put out they're bloated because person might knock 5 minutes of the episode on and then tune out, but it's counted. So that's the difference. Okay? Well, I'm not saying this because I want the show to fail. I need you to understand this, though. Because anytime anybody brings up the rate, you say, you just want the show to die. I don't want the show to crash and burn. Right?
None of us
I don't. Of course I don't. None of us do. None of us do. But I tell you something, if he carries on the way he's carried on, yes, there's been some good stuff. Yeah, we're not denying that there hasn't. But again, he just can't help himself. RTD is a very political person. And we know this. We've known this from his first era. But even then, I think he toned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all we're asking.
Yeah, but it's not just
the fucking thing down.
It's not just that. It's
and improve your writing.
I was going to say, I think that dip is showing that there's something in his writing. Like people can try and say, "Oh, but look at the consolidated." Like you were saying, your overnights is your hardcore people who are going to watch it on the night because they're excited because they've been counting down the days. That sort of person. That's what you want to be massive because that's a really active. Really wanting to see your product part of the fan base.
Listen, if those 3 episodes had got an average of overnights of 7 million, I would have classed that as a very successful 60th anniversary, right? I would have, because you take into account of what happened the previous few years. But it does highlight, unfortunately, that the previous era has done a lot more damage to this fandom and to people watching and the general public than we have realized. I do honestly believe, and I've always said this and maintained this, that Series 11 is when Doctor Who was mortally wounded. And ever since then, it's been kind of struggling. It's a shame because these kids will never understand that this is heartbreaking to actually watch. And you say, well, then just walk away. You want us to walk away from something that we love, that means so much to us. I'm glad you are that fickle and can do that. I can't. And I'm not here just to moan about. I've talked about the positives in all 3 reviews. Even during me watch-alongs, I was even having laugh out loud moments, right? But I'm not going to deny the fact that RTD seems to want to hammer you across the face with his politics. And again, I will say it again, if he goes down the same route as Chris Chibnall, well, then we're back to square one.
Yeah.
Except this time, the show is not recovering. We don't know, as Dan said in the chat, type 40 there earlier, we know that the Bad Wolf deal is for 5 years, but we don't know how long the Disney deal is for. So if the Disney deal is not for 5 years, then there may be some saving grace, because once the money goes again, and then it's just Bad Wolf and Sony money, they won't have the cash available to them. Then maybe then they might start going back to try to create more interesting stories, because they'll need to make money. You know, these people don't. Disney Plus, listen, Disney is going to take another loss on this show.
Yeah.
The distributor and rights to this, and they're going to lose more money again. So Disney again with another brainstorming idea. But the Christmas special trailer did drop, and I just want to talk, because you were talking about his 4th season, but the Christmas trailer has dropped, and I've got to be honest with you, for me personally, this Christmas trailer is not getting me excited at all. It actually looks terrible. I've got to be honest. And that
tacky.
song, I'm just sorry. It looks now, we could be wrong because it's only a trailer, right? And then they released another one, Disney Plus, which had a more serious tone to it, which I thought, well, why didn't you go with that trailer first? Why'd you have to go with the musical one first? Why didn't you go with the first trailer? Again, there seems to be a cock up or something. And by the way, another interesting thing just to let you know, Disney Plus dropped them before the BBC.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? It was reported Disney dropped it before the BBC accounts even got a hold of it. They dropped their trailers first. Now, is that desperation, or is that just to let people know that there is going to be Doctor Who on Disney Plus Christmas? I do not know. But I never heard of a time where BBC aren't the ones that released the trailer first. Now, I could be wrong. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Disney leaked the title as well, apparently. There you go.
No, they did. Yeah, as part of their Christmas scheduling.
There you go. Well, then, what's going on?
It's Disney's, yeah.
But Charlotte, what about you? The Christmas special? I mean, it doesn't look good to me. You could think something differently.
Well,
that's what
I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched the song or listened to it because I sort of want to see it in the episode without any conceptions. In
fairness, though, I did say the song is actually taken out of context of the whole episode, but that's
what
cringy.
I mean. I think, from what I've heard, it sounds like a song that really you need to watch in the episode to understand it and sort of see how it fits, if that makes sense, because it seems.
But does this whole fantasy genre now fit into Doctor Who, though? Because I mean, Moffat did it, and some will say he was fairly successful, but wasn't really. Come on, let's be honest.
I think if Russell goes full on fantasy, then yes, that will really harm the show. Because, as you said, Moffat, and I think even Classic Who, in moments, obviously not as much. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, did have a bit of fantasy in it, all right, but
in moments. But Moffat's the more closer example. This show has sort of had fantasy in it. You can't deny that.
But goblins, I mean, Jesus Christ, if you can't get any more fantasy than fucking goblins.
You can have fantasy in it, but it can't be a fantasy show because it's a very different type of storytelling. It suits a different type of storytelling, your fantasy. And let's be honest, fantasy fans are very different to sci-fi fans.
I think he's trying to rope them in, though. I mean,
yeah, that's my feeling.
Yeah, he wants the Harry Potter crowd.
I think I
Because the
noticed
new
this.
Harry Potter series is going to be dropping as well. Remember, next year or something. So this stinks.
It's pandering.
That definitely stinks to me. But look, I'm gonna watch the Christmas special because Doctor Who is back on Christmas Day, and it's been a long time. And regardless of how good or bad, well, regardless, I reckon it'd be bad, but I'll go into it and I'll watch it. But I don't have any high hopes. Again, it's not with Shooty, it's not with Millie Gibson. It's the theme of this special I am not a fan of. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan.
It's a Pratchett ripoff.
If I want to watch Goblins and the Goblin King and stuff like that, I'll watch fucking Lord of the Rings trilogy. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I think, but that's the problem. I think Russell's going towards possibly a market here, which we already have plenty of other established stories and characters and worlds to live in, which have always been part of that fantasy. So, and Doctor Who is a sci-fi show. It should always have that.
It should have sci-fi at its core, yes.
Sort of selling point. It's a sci-fi show which can dip into genres which are outside of that, but it needs to always come back. So,
and it looks like we're moving away from that.
Yeah, my problem is if I watch a whole like Shooty's first series or and then the Christmas special before that, and I feel like it's all that, then even somebody like me who adores Harry Potter, like that's one of the first fandoms and things I grew up watching and reading and loving. And I've recently been playing Hogwarts Legacy and I adore my time in that game because Harry Potter means a lot to me. It's like part of my childhood. But that's Harry Potter. Doctor Who is different.
Yeah.
It's another part of my childhood which I adore, but they're not the same thing. And I think the problem is possibly Russell now, and we've seen it with the specials, we've possibly seen it now with the more fantasy focus we seemingly are getting told about. The problem is with Russell at the moment, he's become very self-indulgent.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I would describe him. And he's not doing what's best for the show in some parts. He's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And
that's dangerous.
I think he
Nicholas Horn
wants
brings it up.
He thinks, I think I want to have a fantasy possible show now. So I'll just take Doctor Who and I'll make it into that. But it's not.
It's a bad move, but
he's using it as a platform.
Chris there knows. Yeah. But Chris there is probably right because the Harry Potter series is being pushed back to 2025, 26. So this would be RTD's chance to pick up the Harry Potter fans because they're younger fans now again, obviously because the TV show is coming out now. It's going to obviously be seen by a new generation. Obviously, they've probably seen the movies, but they get a TV show now. So there is a lot of excitement. Cheryl's excited for that as well, believe it or not. So this could be a possible angle for RTD, which would be smart for him to boost ratings, right? But he's losing the hardcore fans, and then what happens then when it all falls apart and they get bored of the fantasy stuff? What's going to happen then?
It's not just even that. Like, let's think. Was it last year we had House of Dragon?
Yeah.
So we've already got something very tough competition in comparison, because that's what will happen. If he thinks he's going to get a load of Potter fans, like we're sort of theorizing here, and then the show comes out on HBO, and if that shows anything like sort of anything close to House of Dragon quality, then I'm sorry, they'll watch Doctor Who for a bit, and then they'll just watch Harry Potter show.
Yeah.
It won't be long-term fans if this is his ploy.
Go on, PD. What were you saying?
Nicholas Horton's got a very good point as well. RTD did used to do Wizard versus Aliens. It's like he's turning it into Wizard versus Aliens instead of Doctor Who. Yeah,
well, you better fucking leave it out because it's sci-fi at its core. The bottom line, that's it, right? It's
not sci-fi. Sorry, it's not fantasy comedy. It's a sci-fi.
Look, it's not even supposed to be drama. It's a sci-fi show. at
This
its
is
core.
what I hated about. It's what I hate when Russell T Davies first started, but doing Doctor Who, it got too drama. This is why I despise Tribunal's run, because it was drama. It turned into Hollyoaks. It's like, it's not Hollyoaks, it's Doctor Who. I don't. That's why I hate season 8, because it was drama. It was like, I'm not here to watch Hollyoaks.
I think another reason why Russell could be doing this, and this is just an industry thing, it's very clear that certain trends are dying at the moment.
Yeah.
Superheroes are dying. I'm trying to think of some others. Like, you can
Well, the
tell
sci-fi genre is
studios as
dying
well,
because of the
yeah.
incompetence of the people that are
Yeah.
writing the genre, though. It's not because sci-fi... See, this is the problem as well. They think because superhero genre is dying, that it must be getting stale and stuff like that. It may be in some cases, right? But the majority of the complaints from fans is the level of writing is just not as good as the early days.
Yeah,
It's the same here. I'm sorry, but the sci-fi genre would be still going strong and would be still going strong today if the writers behind these genres actually knew what they were doing. Look at Star Wars, for example. J.J. Abrams doing also the Star Trek as well, and look at the way those movies went. You know that you got Alex Kurtzman. You got people that just don't all use Star Trek as a platform. That's what they're all about.
Yeah, and Chris has just said, same goes superheroes. That's the problem. You've got sort of certain genres at the moment that have had bad actors, bad producers, bad examples, so they are losing their fans and interest. And it's very clear to me, if you look at the industry, that, yeah, fantasy seems to be the next sort of area a lot of people are going to go to, because you've got, like I said, House of Dragon, you've got Harry Potter sort of with Hogwarts Legacy, that really starting to make a resurgence now. You've got in the gaming sphere, Baldur's Gate 3, which just absolutely dominated the Game Awards, which has done incredibly well. And that's D&D, that's Dungeons and Dragons in the purest sense we've seen in a game up to date. So it's very clear that that's where the industry's going now. That's the new sort of thing they're going to all rush to. And maybe Russell's part of that, thinking, oh, I'll rush towards that. Because he does seem to be he'll follow the trends of the industry at the moment.
Yeah.
He's no Stephen Moffat.
Just want to address someone in the chat there saying that they're being muted or something for giving their opinion. Coming in and saying, I think I was just seeing it there, a few comment about Rabbi there is not going to be tolerated. You know what I mean? So if you're here to give an opinion about the TV show or what we're talking about, you're more than welcome. But if you're going to be slagging someone off in the chat, well, then you're going to be, that comment is going to be removed. The moderators in the chat, I don't actually deal with the chat, the live chat. So if you're being muted, it's because they have justified it. So yeah, that's how it goes here. Yes, you're more than welcome to have a different opinion, or if you disagree with anything we have said here on the panel. But as I said, we won't tolerate, people coming in and saying stuff about other people here. It's not what we're about. So yeah, continue. There said Rabbi has a weird obsession with Millie. Well, if you have a problem with Rabbi, this is not the place to dish your dirt on it. Go and speak to Rabbi like a grown-ass man and have it out with him. Because Rabbi is big and bold enough to listen to anybody that has criticisms of him. But you won't do it here. I won't allow it. Rabbi is a friend of the channel, has been very supportive of the channel. So if you have a problem with him, go and talk to him, because I'm pretty sure he'd more than welcome you on his channel to discuss his obsession with Millie Gibson. But he doesn't have an obsession with Millie Gibson. See, what he does is he very cleverly puts his thumbnails together the way he does, because he knows he gets a reaction out of you all, and he's continued to react. So as long as you just keep reacting to his thumbnails, he's going to keep doing them. Okay, and we have a laugh and a chuckle about it, because you all fall for it every fucking time. So if you've got anything to say about what we're talking about, you're more than welcome to have a conversation about that. Other than that, keep other people's names out of your mouth in the chat, please, because we don't talk about other streamers on here. Thank you. Anyway, let's continue.
So what do you think, PD, about the future and how it could go for Shooty?
I don't think it's going to be very good. I think the problem is Gary summed it up. He was on a news channel, on an Australian news channel the other day. I actually caught a clip of him on it, and he sums up very well. He says the problem is, he said, this stuff, if it wasn't for streaming, this stuff would just die. He said it wouldn't last. It'd just be dead. After a couple of seasons or two, it would just be dead. He says because streaming needs so much content, needs to throw more content onto the fire of the streaming gods, it won't die. So I think it's going to happen. It's going to be a zombie. After a couple of few seasons, it's going to be a zombie show. It's going to be like turn into like 5 or 6 episode seasons, like Chibnall's, and it's just going to be these 6 episodes of absolute cringe science fiction for the next 3 years. So season 3, 4, and 5 are just going to be these cringe science fiction, just a cringe 6 episode miniseries. So I think it's going to happen to it because the money's going to run out. But Disney are going to still keep paying for it until it's actually cancelled from the top down. And that's what I think is going to happen. It's just going to become this zombie show, and everyone's just going to start laughing at it. So it's a sad end for Doctor Who, I'm afraid. But if you don't keep control of your showrunners, this is what happens.
Cyber Matt Strike says it's better than Chibnall.
No, it's on a par.
Well, you see, that's the thing, though, right? Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But then you've got to kind of look at the standard that Chibnall produced compared to what RTD produced in his Force era and Stephen Moffat, right? And compare it there. This is not groundbreaking for RTD. Nothing that we saw was groundbreaking, and that's the problem. He was, if you're coming back a second time as a showrunner, you can't really repeat the same things or the same feelings and moods that you had before, as Charlotte has rightly pointed out in some of the episodes. There were moments that kind of felt like there were moments we had before. He had to give us something fresh. He had to give us something new. But it seemed like, as Charlotte said, and I said this myself on Sunday, it seems like he went back to the golden days of his era and just cherry-picked some of the stuff that he really liked, and then kind of, went with that, inserted them into the actual episodes to kind of give us a feeling that we were watching. See, it's very clever. It's very clever. J.J. Abrams is the master at it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You'll watch something of his and you think you're watching something amazing. Right? And, but after you analyze and you look back on it, you will see that it's full of member berries and these little throwbacks to certain things, and it's done differently, right? But the thing about it is, it's not new. He's just done it. He's repackaged it, basically. And that's what I felt like what this 60th anniversary. For me, the 2 highlights were Bernard Cribbins' cameo, which was only a couple of minutes, but still, that little bit was I loved it. And then, obviously, Neil Patrick Harris, and I will throw in, I mean, the performance of Tennant and Catherine Tate. First episode, I thought Tennant was a shambles, really. But the second and third one, he got so much better. Yeah, I think I think what may explain maybe his lack of performance in the first one may have been the fact that it had been a while since he was back the last time, and maybe he was just getting back into it. Whereas when he did come back for the 50, it was like putting on a pair of old shoes, but this time it was a little bit harder because time has passed, like,
all I'll say to that is he's been doing plenty of Big Finish in between.
Yeah.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
All right.
So he has been in the Whoverse for quite a long time.
Well, maybe it's different than acting, though, because the voice is different to actually being on screen. Maybe it was the acting. Maybe it just took him a while to settle in, but I don't know. But what I will say is that I do believe his performance was stepped up in the second and third episode. I mean, Catherine Tate's performance in all 3 episodes was, I mean, she was still Donna to me. I know some people had their reservations about her, but in the end, I think she became the Donna that we remember. Because I know you had problems with Donna, didn't you, Charlotte, when we did speak about this overall. But overall, would you class the 60th anniversary as a success?
I'll say in moments, yes. In other moments, no.
PD?
I'd say it's a failure, mate. I'm sorry to say. Just doesn't have the gist that the last 50th anniversary did. No one's excited. Even for the first one, season 8, everyone was excited for it, and it was a big event. But it just didn't feel like an event. It just felt like, oh, 3 more Doctor Who, a few episodes.
I just don't. Do you know? I'm kind of at this weird place. I'm kind of thinking it could have been a whole lot worse, but at the same time, it could have been a whole lot better. But then you had some nice moments thrown in there, and then you had the horrible moments that he just couldn't help himself. And I'm like, he sent out a lot. It's like everything that he's done, right? He kind of makes the assumption that people see that us people see people in wheelchairs as evil, right? And then he changes that for us. Then by the end, he puts wheelchair access on the TARDIS. Right? Yeah. Again, mixed signals, right? Then he gives in Doctor Who Unleashed, he said that he addressed the toy maker's racism, but yet then gives the toy maker a German accent, a fake German accent from the 1940s or whatever. Like a lot of this is what I'm saying. He was doing. This is why I think he is trying to please everybody. It's a mess. That's what. It's just a mess.
No, that's how I would describe the specials. As in, like you, there were moments that I was just like, yeah, I'm with it. This is really good. I'm enjoying it. And then there were other moments where I was just like, Russell, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think an overall issue, and I've heard this, I think this is if there's one sort of complaint, if that's the right word, or issue that I have seen across the board, is this is not a celebration of 60 years.
No, it's not actually.
This is a celebration of Russell's work.
Exactly. And just because you had the toy maker in the last episode didn't make it a celebration of the 60th, because I know that's the justification that some people, well, his side of the fandom that are supporting him now, who weren't supporting him when he first came back, but they're supporting him now because he's pandering to them. That's the excuse they're making to say that, well, that's why it was the 60th. No, 60th is a celebration of the whole show, not just one particular facet or one particular doctor. I kind of sick of multi-doctor stories anyway. You could have done something for the 60th that was doctor-less. You could have done a master.
Well, no, the problem was we didn't have a lot of celebration of other doctors. We didn't have a celebration of a lot of other characters from the storied history. We didn't see Daleks. We didn't see Cybermen. Like you said, we didn't see a master, even though he's very clearly hinting we're going to get one at some point.
Oh, we're definitely getting a master.
Yeah.
It's Jinx Monsoon. I'm telling you now. I'm going to call it.
Yeah. What you can argue, and this is what I'm a bit like, no, it's not an excuse here. If he couldn't do the doctor angle for a celebration, because that was hard to get actors in, some of them are very busy now.
It was done last time.
Okay, you couldn't do the multi-doctor angle. You could have had so many villains from the past. The toy maker can make universes. In his realm, anything is possible. You're telling me, even if he couldn't make doorways, that we could have had spent a bit of time on Skaro, or we could have spent a bit of time on Modern Das, or we could have spent some time on Mars for the Ice Warriors. Like, there's so many villains and creatures from this show's history, which you could have done, which weren't actor-based that you needed to get. You could have just made the suits, get Nick Briggs to do some Dalek voices for you. Like, there's so many ways you could have celebrated the history here, and he didn't.
Yeah.
At all. And I think if there's, like I said, if there's one issue which I think is the heart, honestly, of a lot of the sort of other stuff that comes out from it, I think that's the heart here. It didn't feel like a celebration.
No.
And I think he probably would have gotten away with some of the other stuff, maybe. I'm saying maybe, I don't know. If at least we would have felt we're watching the specials, which are saying, look at our show, isn't it brilliant? I never got that in these specials. I got, look at this moment, isn't that good? Or is, like I said, callbacks. But the 50th, and this is why for me the 50th works.
Yeah.
Even though Moffat couldn't get a lot of the other actors, he had that whole conclusion about all the doctors technically working on the solution with the TARDISes to save the day. That felt like all the doctors were included. Did we have any moment like that during these specials?
Absolutely none. It was all about Dave Tennant.
That's the problem here.
It was a Dave
And if
Tennant.
Russell's a clever enough writer, he could have written something like Moffat did with those clips. It's what they essentially were.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened to this J.R. Ewing? Sorry, this Bobby Ewing moment that Dave Tennant was going on about. Oh, it's all going to be Bobby Ewinged away, and it never happened.
A toy maker could have fixed the damage to the universe caused by Flux. Instead, he played a game. Actually, I was actually wondering why the Doctor didn't actually make that one of the conditions of the game if I win.
Universe restored.
Actually, no, hold on. They did win, but Shooty decided to pick up the big mallet and hit the side of the TARDIS to give David his own TARDIS. So instead of actually fixing the universe, Shooty's first acted as the Doctor is a selfish one because he gives his own self a TARDIS rather than fixing the universe. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's not a good. I'm just copped onto that.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And all those by regeneration doctors don't have a TARDIS. But Russell's going, oh yes they do, because when Shooty hit the side of that TARDIS, everyone got a TARDIS. It's like the TARDIS doesn't work that way. You can't have the same TARDIS being in too many places at once, or else the universe is going to collapse.
Someone asked, what's wrong with Jinx? We haven't said anything about Jinx on here. We just mentioned that Jinx Monsoon could be playing the Master. I'm going to call it.
No, he's not. We're getting this is going to be. I know this complete fan.
All I'll just say is, like, if you put a podcast on X and you're talking about your relations with other people, when there's kids that support Doctor Who and know that you're going to be on the show, I don't think it's a very nice thing to have on a social media platform that kids can access. So if you want to go down that route, we can go down that route. But other than that, Jinx Monsoon, we'll just have to see what Jinx Monsoon brings to the table like everybody else. But what RTD has brought to the table so far, let me just say, as you can hear on the panel there, we're not very optimistic. We have given him his kudos for some of the stuff that he's done, but is it still good enough for what we were promised is the 60th anniversary? This was a 60th anniversary. It should have been a 60th anniversary celebration of 60 years of the show. It wasn't. It was a RTD vanity project. End of story.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And now he's at the handicapping his own bloody Doctor, right? His first proper Doctor back in Shooty now, right? And Shooty now, God love him, you know, I think he does have it, what it takes, but he's going to be given terrible scripts. He's going to be given terrible, because and people say, well, what do you base that on? Well, I bet we base it on the 60th anniversary so far. And if the Christmas trailer is out to go by now, it's only a trailer, right? But let me just tell you that RTD trailers used to blow you away back in the day, just like the Moffat ones. Did the Christmas trailer blow anybody away? No. So again, I'm underwhelmed by it. I don't like the theme. Got to be honest, I don't want goblins and fantasy in me Doctor Who. Sorry, I don't. Right? But I'll watch it. I'll give it a go. I'll go in like I did with the other 3 specials. I'll go in and I'll tell you what I liked about and what I didn't like about it. I think I've been fair, to be quite honest with you. I'm not going to shill and lie to people just for the sake of it, to get clicks and stuff like that. Right? Because I see a lot of people in this fandom actually doing that, trying to excuse all of this stuff that's happened. Right? And saying, let's just give Shooty a go. Let's just see, does RTD improve? I mean, what more proof do you need? You know, we kept giving Chibnall chance after chance after chance. We did. Every season, we gave that man the benefit of the doubt. And we said, we'll go into the new season and he started off well with the first episode of each of his seasons. That wasn't the problem. It was second, third, fourth episodes in.
And the problem is now, Dan said it before, and that's what I was talking about. If you have bad episodes, if you have a bad, let's say, obviously, we're in what if land now, folks. Let's say your opening's not good. Your opening episode, you've only got 7 more. You have then 2 on the trot. Like I said, this could go the opposite way. You could have an absolute really good first episode, and that could really set him up and get the fan base really going. It could go either way. But the thing is, you're taking a chance, because if that first episode is not to a really high standard, and we've said this with all the doctors, I remember we've said this for Matt. His first episode had to hit it out the park. Eccleston's first episode had to hit it out the park. Tennant's episode, we've all said this with doctors. It's no different for Shuey. His first episode needs to hit it out the park. Well, if it doesn't, it will be another slide, and then if there isn't any others to pick up the slack episodes, then the slide will get worse. And this show will slowly, I think it probably won't be as slow as the Whittaker. It probably will be slower than the Whittaker decline, I've got a feeling, but it will be a decline.
If not, if it's a slow burner that turns into be something great, I will be okay with that. As you said, there's always a flip side. So let's say what the flip side is. It could be a slow burner, and it could end up being some of the best sci-fi that we've ever watched. But I have to be honest, listening to RTD, I don't think Doctor Who is going to stick strictly at the sci-fi. And as we've all mentioned, Moffat didn't always strictly keep it to sci-fi, but it did still have some. Actually, sci-fi was always the core. It's just if he wanted to do fantasy, he incorporated it into it, and added the sci-fi element and stuff.
Yeah, but it was always kind of factual fantasy, if you know what I mean. You get what I mean. It wasn't goblins and boogeymen and all that kind of fantasy. It was proper kind of like Robin Hood and all that kind
Robin
of
Hood, yes. You're absolutely spot on. There is
never
a difference.
King Arthur or someone. It was never kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy.
Yeah, the Gobster apparently is out as well from watching he's done. And he does, because he heard the same comments as I did, RTD, it's definitely going down the fantasy route. He always wanted a kind of Doctor Who version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He always has. He's always brought up Buffy the Vampire Slayer of one of the shows that inspired him. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm off social media till New Year, done with it all. Well, if we do see it back in 2024, hopefully we do. If not, I just want to say it's been absolutely a pleasure and an honor getting to know you. Also, want to wish you, your family, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. I do hope, after Christmas and all, and when you have your break, I will see you back because,
Oh, I will be back, he's just said.
Oh, well, then that's all right. Jesus Christ, you gave me a heart attack there. Don't do that again, will you? Jesus. Yeah, man, because you'd be missed anyway. You would. So just want to make the point, like, you might be feeling a bit shitty now, like us all, but I just want you to know, like, you would be missed. So don't go anywhere because, we like having you around, giving your opinion. Wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't be the same without you. Hey, garbage. Wouldn't be the same without you anyway. But look, all I'll say is I do wish Shooty the best.
Same here.
For Christmas.
Yeah, I wish him the best.
I would love to think that RTD has seen what's happened and he's able to make changes.
He can't make any changes.
But unfortunately, that's what I mean. but unfortunately he can't. So whatever he's written for the fourth series, and remember, he is still in the middle of the second one, so if it hasn't went well, maybe he will course correct in the second season,
We could hope.
like what Chibs tried to do, but Chibs absolutely failed because he still couldn't help himself. But he hasn't given Shooty. Look, some people always argued bringing David Tennant back, but bringing David Tennant back wasn't fair on Shooty anyway. I believed at the time it was the right decision because from a commercial point of view, David Tennant had the draw. He was the most popular Doctor. And on top of that, you are bringing back the most popular companion. And then a showrunner that's perceived to be or is the most popular showrunner. So they had everything going for them.
Yeah.
And it didn't light its spark under this fandom, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because it is unfortunate, because now what's happened is that Shooty now, all the pressure is on him.
Yes, it's increased a lot now.
And it's not fair, actually. It's not fair to heap that pressure on Shooty, especially his fourth. No, it's wrong. He has crippled this Doctor before he's even started.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Especially by
mad.
sticking it
I'm
time
mad
space.
more about this than I was
Yeah.
about Whittaker, because I saw something in Shooty. I've never had a problem with his casting. A lot of people throwing all of this racist shit at me, right? Because I said
never had
this
a
isn't
problem.
Doctor Who.
Give it a shot.
Because I put up the scene where it's Shooty's Doctor's in a nightclub dancing. Yeah, the Doctor goes clubbing all the fucking time. Like I said, this isn't Doctor Who, and they started, oh, so you don't like the Doctor in the kilt? Oh, you don't like Doctor because he's a black man now and all this? No. I've always said when Shooty was cast, I was in favour of his casting. I actually liked his casting. The problem I had with Shooty was just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Forget about the politics. Just talk about the show. Talk about, things like that. That's what fans want to hear. Right? So he couldn't do that. But still, I'm still behind him. I'm still like, I hope he fucking succeeds as the Doctor. Because what a shame it would be to make such a big deal out of the first male black Doctor and then you totally fail him like you did with the first female Doctor. And we can't have history repeat itself. And it wouldn't be fair on Shooty. Shooty really looks like he wants this. I seen that myself. He wants it. He actually does. He wants this. Even the way he was talking about our show when RTD gave him his starter pack. He was talking about stuff and doing the fan thing. Right? Now, a lot of people say be skeptical and say, he's just saying what you want to hear and all this. I saw something in that man that makes me believe if he's written properly, this guy can be the Doctor. And I think he could have been the one that truly breaks the glass ceiling, as they said for the win. He could have opened up an awful lot of doors, opportunities for everybody with this. But RTD now has, in my opinion, because of what he's produced so far, it's not looking good. But as I said, 60 is a kind of separate entity to what's to come. And his writing style could be completely different for Shooty's era. And that's the only thing that's making me think, well, maybe, we'll see what happens. But what doesn't give me hope is already there's articles coming out and saying that Shooty's skin color will play a part in the show and it will be highlighted. And to me, again, that's a goddamn shame because you're focusing on that rather than focus on the guy himself, the actor himself, bringing his own personality through. You want to focus what you think defines him, which is his skin color, but he's more than his fucking skin color. And this is why I've always argued with this pandering and this kind of diversity quota, because it's not fair. Everybody that works in the industry, doesn't matter what your skin color, gender, right? You should be given a proper platform and not
Yeah.
be defined
Crack of the
by
whip, yeah.
labels and groups and communities and all of this other rubbish, right? I wish him the best. I really do. I saw something in him. You know, I know he's going to play at camp. And maybe, you know, and when I say play at camp, by the way, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? You could play at camp where it's tasteful, you
Yeah.
know, that bit of
Go in
fun
car.
stuff. No, don't mind that, right? But if that's all he is, then I think that's absolutely fucking disgraceful, to be quite honest. He's more than just being a camp doctor. You have to give him fucking something to work
Yeah, because like I
Yeah.
said, there were moments for me in that last 10 minutes with the conversation with Tennant. I saw actually no, this lad could do it. We obviously need to see more of him, but maybe he can do it. I also thought when he was facing up against the toy maker, when he was like in proper serious mode, that was a doctor facing off. That was a doctor saying, "I'm the defender of the earth. You're going to stop." That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
what
did like that. I did like that. I think he does have the stones to play this role. And I know there'll be fans out there, you know, the skin color is an issue. You know, in fairness, you know, you have your own opinions. I'll never call you fucking racist for having those opinions. You know what I mean? Just some people have an idea of the doctor, you know, that'll be different to what my idea might be, or Charlotte's, or anybody else out there.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's fan opinion. But
Exactly.
I'm more pissed for Shooty right now
Yeah.
because RTD just couldn't help himself. But I'm just hoping that even with the bad trailer that I saw, that maybe this episode is not as bad. But again, I'm kind of fucking hanging on with faith here now at this stage. I'll continue to review it because I'm not going to allow our voices to be silent, or silenced, I should say, because that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to silence us again. But
Yeah.
this time I'm not going to get into a fight with anybody. You see, I'm rather calm today. You know, if this was the time this children review, you seen the state I was in. I was at all emotions. I broke down. I was angry. I was banging things. I was fucking beside myself. But I'm actually calm. I'm collected. I think the Chibnall era has done more damage to me than I realise, as in emotionally, when it comes to this show. I can't let go, but at the same time, I've kind of distanced myself from getting emotional about it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense.
I let go.
So I can go into Shooty's era now knowing that I'm not going to be hurt anymore by anything RTD does to it. And all I just have to do is just report what I do to you guys and give my opinion on it and keep this out there so people know. So especially, you know, RTD knows that, yeah, okay, you might be trying to replace us, but we're not going to stay silent because that's exactly what you'd want us to do.
Unless Shooty's numbers are like double what the specials are, it will prove that he won't replace the old and the established fan base.
No. And that's the thing. So, I mean, look, I will give Shooty a go. Some people will think I'm mad and should just walk away, but I'm not going to approach this like I approached the Chibnall era. I don't have the energy to be fucking coming on every stream anyway, you know, ranting and rave. And those days are going to be over now. I had my little rant a couple of days ago, right? It wasn't really a rant, but I did work myself up a little bit because, you know, it's fucking stupid what he's done. This was a simple fix.
Yeah.
This is the thing, though.
It was a rescue
People
mission,
think
no?
that,
It was a rescue
yeah,
mission.
it was a rescue mission, but it was still a simple fucking fix.
It's turned into
It was a
Apocalypse Now.
It was just a and the simple fix was just bring Doctor Who back to its roots.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to do, and he didn't even do that, and he wasn't even capable of doing that. And remember, we were told it was supposed to be a rescue mission. Right now, it's not looking like a rescue mission.
No, it's turned into
But-
Apocalypse Now.
But we'll see what happens with Shooty's era. I do genuinely wish him and Millie Gibson the best of luck because you are going into the snake pit now, and Christmas Day is going to be the first proper introduction for the two of you. And I hope it goes off without a hitch. And I hope whoever has wrote the story for you, I think more than likely it will be RTD.
Oh, for the first one, yeah.
Yeah, he normally does the Christmas specials anyway. I do
wouldn't
hope.
it be funny though if like all the RTD ones are absolute garbage and the rest of them are a lot better? Wouldn't you just show
He did do Voyage of the Damned, which is one of my favorite Christmas specials. So
I mean for next season, like all the guest writers episode like 10 times better than his.
Well, good. And if they are, then good. If they're the writers, then maybe someone should say to RTD, look, you're executive producer, but you're not writing anymore.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't agree, then Disney say, well, listen, you want to keep this gravy train going?
And I agree. Like I said, I watched some of your stream afterwards on Sunday, and I really agree with what a lot of you were saying about in that video he put out when he's telling you to basically not go on the internet and watch it live on the night.
That was, I've never seen him do that.
Russell.
That was desperation.
I think you're starting to look worried now. I think you're starting to look a little bit taken back by...
He should, because I don't think he realises, and I think this was his biggest mistake, I don't think he realises how hurt we've been over the last 5-6 years with this previous showrunner. And how much
I think
abuse and abuse and the articles and the attacks. I don't think he realizes. Listen, you needed to produce something major and you just failed your test. Now you get another chance at it with Shooty's era. You cannot fail this test. You fail this test, it's game over. Yes, it'll be dragged through the mud on Disney Plus. But if you think that Doctor Who is going to maintain that primetime slot on BBC One,
it won't.
No, it won't. It'll be moved on to iPlayer straight away. It'll be released. That's how people in the UK
Free,
or probably,
BBC One Sunday night like it was before.
Right. And if it does, or they'll pull it back to Sunday, which will be a damning indictment for this. So listen, I implore you, RTD, I know it's too late now because you've written whatever you've written. But I just hope for your sake that this is some of the best Doctor Who you've produced, because so far you have not lit a spark under this fandom. You've not lit the fire. You've gave us moments, yes, which you'll get credit. And I will thank you for the Bernard Cribbins moment, because that was so beautifully written and shot. It's just a pity that we didn't get that other anticipated scene that you wanted to do with him. I think that would have explained more why the Doctor might have settled down, because a conversation with Wilf, the old soldier, would have fucking been the perfect fucking, that would have been a nice segue. Wilf even telling, because remember when he did the End of Time Part 1 and 2, they have the moment on the ship where he tells him, why don't you just go away, settle somewhere? Do you remember they had that conversation before?
Yeah, and they could have very much had Wilf go. Do you remember that conversation before? I think it's more needed now.
Yeah, and that would have been a beautiful. And then all of this bullshit, to a certain extent, would have made sense, but I still wouldn't have been happy and accepted it. Because we got that with the Meta Crisis Doctor. That was the story. You didn't need to do a Meta Crisis 2.0, because that's what this feels like. Again, kind of going back to things that he did that were popular back. You've got to do something fresh. You got to do something really exciting. And from what I've seen so far from the Christmas special, has left a lot to be desired. But I will watch it because I'm looking forward to Doctor Who on Christmas Day, hearing that theme on Christmas Day, because it's been a goddamn long time. And I tell you, I will go in and I will try and enjoy this as much as I fucking can, because I'm determined to anyway, because it's Christmas, Doctor Who, it's back where it belongs, but it's weak right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm worried.
The 60th needed to be exercising, building some of the strength back, building some of the profile back, building some of the goodwill back. That's what these specials needed to do.
Yeah, and he didn't do
And
that.
they haven't. They
No.
have given fans more.
Now it's left up to Shooty, though. Now it's left up to Shooty, the bridge, as the doctor now. It's here and now that's going to be the one that's going to have to try do all of that. And it shouldn't have been. You know, you have the most popular doctor and companion. It's fucking easy.
And also,
right? It should be easy.
This. You had the luxury of having a mini first start.
Yeah.
Having a couple of episodes to be like your start. You didn't have to start with a fresh new doctor like you did in 2005, like Moffat did with Matt. So this should have really been beneficial to Russell.
Yeah.
And it's felt like actually he's not taken the advantages.
It's a step backwards. It's a step backwards.
This should have been a leg up. This should have been a leg up. And it's not.
But again, even though I have been critical and I'm moaning here, I'm still saying I'm going to watch the Christmas special. And why is that? Right? Because people will say, well, why are you watching? Now, some will accuse me you're watching because you want to hate watch. No, I'm a Doctor Who fan for over 40 years. And right now, the show is in terrible trouble.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And it breaks me heart watching what it's become. But as I said, the reason why I won't walk away is actually quite a simple one, and why some of us are determined to stay and fight. Not fight, but talk about what's wrong with the show. This is how I'll approach it. Not fight. I'm not fighting with anybody in this fandom anymore. I'm done. I did my bit back then. But I will certainly continue to highlight this show, and obviously if it's positive, then we'll discuss it in a positive manner. Obviously, if it goes the same way as the 60th, then I'll be here to report on it, because they're not going to ever win. They're not ever going to take away Doctor Who, right? It might be theirs right now. They're never going to take that away. They can't take away the classic era, and they certainly can't take away New Who, right? Up until a point. Peter Capaldi, I would say. You can't take that. And yes, some have decided to walk away, and I will never, ever criticize that. Do you know what? For some years, I think the decision you have made is probably the right one for some people. For some people in this fandom, absolutely, right? But I'm not going to walk away, because these people are never going to win, and someone has to speak up. Now, the bigger channels do it, but they don't do it as regular as I used to do it back in the old days. But that's the way I'm going to go again. We're going back to the old days where I reported on this show every day, because it has to be talked about and discussed. Because remember, again, fans' voices are being silenced again. People are being run off social media again. And history is repeating itself. Now, this time, I'm getting it all over the place, but you wouldn't think I was getting it all over the place. I'm so calm and relaxed. It's kind of annoying, these people. They keep poking me with a stick, right? But they haven't gotten a reaction out of me, and they won't. They done all their damage 5-6 years ago, for the last 5-6 years. There's nothing more they could say or do to me that's going to get under my skin, because they've said and done everything. So I'm just here to be a voice, hopefully, like I was back in the old days, for those fans that are still disgruntled, those fans that have felt betrayed, because walking away is what they want. That's why they keep telling us. They want us to walk away. That gives them the satisfaction. And you know me, guys, more than anybody else out there, I will never give these people the satisfaction of seeing me walk away. So I'm not walking away. I am going to fucking stay on the front fucking line. And if it's just me on me fucking own, who gives a shit? And I will fucking come out and I will give you the fucking what's up with this fucking show and what's going on. Now, but hopefully, I could sit here Christmas and say it was great. Hopefully, when Shooty's era starts, I could say, yes, Doctor Who is back. Right? That's what I want so much in the world, because I know then that Doctor Who's future is secure. And then when I'm well gone and when we're well gone, we know that maybe Doctor Who is still going on and other generations are getting exposed to what we were exposed to as kids, which is just a beautiful, well written, grounded show. That's what I see Doctor Who as. It was just absolutely everything that I wanted as a kid. It had everything that I wanted as a kid. And I think these kids are being robbed, if I'm being honest, with the modern politics that's being shoved into Doctor Who. If they got what we got, trust me, they would absolutely, they would. To be not the Doctor Who was at one point one of the best sci-fi shows out there, without a shadow of a doubt. Right, that period when RTD came back and Stephen Moffat took over in his first cup, that was golden era of New Who, right there, right. And he brought in new fans. You mean to tell me you couldn't done the same trick a second time without all of the fucking politics? Right? And he did it. He did, in fairness to the two showrunners, he had limited politics in it, but it wasn't in your face or bashing it across the head. Obviously, under Moffat in the later years, obviously he was fighting off the BBC at that stage, but the BBC did push it on him, but he tried to limit it as much as he could. But even the limited amount that he was able to put in it, did it overall ruin some of the stories that we watched? No, some of them it did, let's be honest, but the majority of them it didn't. It didn't really affect, some of the dialogue with Clara was a bit fucking ropey, but we won't get into that. But I want to sit here and say that this show is successful. I've been saying it for the past fucking 5-6 years, and it's still the same dream that I have, that this show, listen, Disney now have BBC's Golden Goose, our distributor, and now have given fine. They could have made an absolute fortune. Everybody could have made in a Bad Wolf Studios, Sony, BBC, Disney. They could have made an absolute fortune with this. And then the spin-offs. You imagine a Doctor Who with strong foundations, with the fandom vibrant and buzzing again, right? And everybody is ranting and raving about their writers and characters that they love, right? And then they announce they're doing spit. Oh my God, hyperdrive. They would fucking, not only would they earn millions, we would be fucking the happiest fans in the world, because we would have the top fucking franchise out there. People would be envious of fucking us. That's the whole point of being fans of these shows as well, where we do have that competitive edge. We want to be the best fucking sci-fi show out there, right? And this show has had huge potential over the years, and it's been squandered. Right, they got close, as I said, with the RTD. Stephen Moffat was never actually really huge, if you know what I mean. I mean, it was popular. It was getting out there, but it wasn't at that level of other sci-fi shows. And that's where we want to be. We want to be on top. We want their fandom to be talked about and envied. We want their show to be talked about and watched and envied by other fans out there. That's the whole point. But this show's become a laughing fucking stock. People are laughing at us as fans, laughing at the show, laughing at the showrunners.
Well, it reaps what it sows now. That's what I think.
Right? And then laughing at the absolute pathetic behaviour of these fans that are attacking fans that have been fans of this show for a long time. This is one, if not the most toxic fandom in fandoms, is the Doctor Who fandom. People say the Star Wars. That's child's play.
No, it's Star Wars.
It's child's play. I'm sorry. Child's play. Even the Star Trek fandom, child's play. You want to know what real strife and real fucking toxicity is? Go and look through the history of the Doctor Who fandom over the past 5-6 years, especially. Right? The stuff that's being thrown at all of us here. right? All because we gave a negative opinion because we didn't agree with the masses. Well, write something fucking decent and we won't have anything to complain about. You want to shut us up permanently? You want to stop us from complaining? Well, then give us something that we don't have to complain about.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Give us
Simple
something
as that.
bland, something normal, something mediocre, and it might actually get a good rating.
So that's where I stand on it. But don't be worrying, folks, right? Won't be going anywhere. But I'm not going to go down the same route as I did with the Whitaker era because it won't be good for my health anyway. And I've got myself back to a healthier position, with me health wise and all of that. So I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. I'm certainly not going to let these kids get under my skin, no matter how much they try. Just laugh at them now. That's the best way to
Because,
react
as
to
you've
them.
said, for all their vitriol and all their puffing their chests out with Jodie, how did that end?
Yeah,
Failure.
Dismally.
The ratings in the toilet.
They don't have
And-
the same impact.
And you don't think that can happen again? That can happen again.
And we don't want, and can I make it clear though? And listen to me, kids, right? I don't want it to happen again. I don't want history to repeat that.
They're
Do you not
gonna make it happen
understand?
again.
Do you not understand? We're not saying we don't want you to be represented in our little show, right? What we're saying is the representation is not the end all and be all of everything, right? It's still a fucking sci-fi show, right? You claim to love it, so why are you trying to change it? And then you just wonder why we complain. We complain because you want to change everything that made Doctor Who Doctor Who. It's as simple as that. That's it. Right? We know RTD is being progressive. His first era is highly fucking progressive. But he did it in such a fucking clever way. We weren't talking about it. Because we were talking about the characters themselves, the stories. But he still got the representation in there. He still got his politics in there. He just did it in a clever way. Now he's doing what Chibs is doing. I'll come in with a sledgehammer. What happened to you? You do shows like it's a sin and years, man. Right? You get all the accolades and well fucking deserved, by the way. Well deserved. And then you come back to Doctor Who and it's like as if you're a second grade fucking year fucking writer or something. What the fuck has happened to you? Like, seriously, that's the question I would ask you. What the fuck has happened to you? You went to America, you came back. What the fuck? Like,
well, no, it's like I watched It's a Sin because I wanted to see at the time current Russell because I hadn't properly watched any of his work since Who. And I thought, well, that people change, Charlotte, like writers change, styles change. You need to see something a bit more recent. And It's a Sin had some of the most beautiful, some of the most moving, some of the most... And that was all politics, really, if you think about the topic of that.
It was.
That was very clearly, here's a time in history about a group. I'm going to explore their experiences.
No. And it was
loved
for you. But was people moaning about it, Charlotte? Were people saying, oh, no, that type of TV shouldn't be shown? No. People fucking watched it.
Here's my point. I fell in love with those characters. At the end, there was even a speech where one of them died. I won't say who, even though it's probably okay to spoil now. I won't say who, but one of the main cast died. And one of the other cast did this. I can't remember it's the actress everybody wanted for the Doctor at some point. I say everybody, media wanted her. The black actress. She's been in a few things with Russell. I can't, but it was her giving the speech, and she performed it like
Lydia West.
Sorry,
Lydia West.
Maybe, it was her. I think that was the name, and she was basically one of the crew. Because if you don't know It's a Sin, they basically all live together. So it was like one of the characters, one of her best mates died, and she was giving out to his mum. And it was very clear what she was giving out about, that the mum was ashamed of the son, that as soon as he got AIDS, she basically hid him away in their home and she cut him off from all his friends. He had to go back home. And that was a theme, actually, in It's a Sin.
Yeah.
Very subtly woven in, but it was there. And she basically had a go at the mum, saying, you are what's wrong, that you will not say you're disgusted by him, you will hide him away. And that's worse.
Yeah.
I'd
It
rather
is,
you come out
actually.
and said it than be like ashamed in the shadows.
Or a
trying
fucking
to...
hypocrite.
Yeah, that's what she was calling her. So that is incredibly targeted. That's
That's
very
what I
clearly
mean.
what...
No problem with it. What
But
I'm
that
just sort of
scene...
saying is Doctor Who's Doctor Who. Like, you know, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to do that sort of stuff within a sci-fi narrative anyway. But if you're going to do it, you've got to be doing it like you did, as you've explained, with It's a Sin. It has to be fleshed out, man.
Yeah, but here's my point. It was very clear that pointed, but it actually rang true. There was this lovely truth to it. Because you saw the mum in the episodes, you saw the way she was acting, you saw her actions. You even saw, like, and this just, like I said, it spoke to the whole point of he wasn't just home. She literally had him home listening to songs he did songs he liked when he was a child.
Yeah.
It was very clear she was almost trying to wipe away, erase what he was because she was so ashamed. So it was like, bring him home, literally have him listen to songs that he liked when he was 5, like cut him away from all his friends, and he became nothing. And it was such a sad thing to witness as well.
Yeah.
And that was what that scene was about. And I understand, like, I get, yeah, you couldn't have that in Who, but you're telling me you can't have that level of writing?
Yeah.
That level
That's
of
the problem.
character?
Yeah.
That level of what you said, cleverness about what you were talking about and being really... That's what I found impressive about It's a Sin. He was talking about issues, and I felt like he actually knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
That he actually was skillfully showing me a world or a bit of experience, which I had no experience of. But I thought watching It's a Sin, I sort of, as a viewer, got a bit of...
You felt it.
Yeah, I felt it. And I'm not going to deny there weren't moments in the Giggle, but I wanted more of them in the whole 3 specials.
Yeah, he didn't do enough.
Like I said, there were moments.
Yeah.
But it should have been in all of them.
Anyway, look, Christmas special. We'll be here for that. Yeah. Don't know if Chris is joining me for the watch along. But I don't know. I don't know if he's watching. He hasn't told me. I'm pretty sure he will. But he might be here, might not. I don't know. It's Christmas because he might have other things going on because it is Christmas. But if not, it'll just be myself reacting to the Christmas special, and let's hope, for everybody's sake, it's very good. It has to be at least very good.
Yes.
Can't be average, you know. Has to be very good. And I hope so. I'm not expecting at this stage now to be blown away, but he's got to improve on what he gave us for the 60th. And if he does that and tones down the politics, well, there was hardly any in the second episode. You know, if you can keep that to a minimum, then, and the writing improves, because I still think he's boring as hell for some weird reason. These 3 specials, though, there was still a bit. There were moments in it where it was boring, and I was like, yeah, you need to speed it up here a little bit more. Like, what's the point of this dialogue, sort of thing. But look, we'll see what happens. But we're going to wrap it up there, so I'll get everybody to do their channel shout outs and stuff. But I want to thank everybody in the chat, especially the 3 guys who dropped us super chats, which was Martin V, Digby Strawbridge, and Sci-Fi is Life. Well, it'll be for Doctor Who, it'll be sci-fi and fantasy, or fantasy sci-fi will be like, or whatever the fuck they're coming out with now. Anyway, and to everybody in the chat as well that contributed, which is our comments as well, we really do appreciate them as well. So I will get the guys to do their channel shout outs, but I'll start off. Tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it? So we
Yeah.
have the movie zone. It's in the name of the Father. So come and join us for that. Now listen, there seems to be some confusion. So let me wrap the confusion up. So I've been accused by some that have watched some of my other movie streams from a couple of years ago. They've gotten a few thousand views in some cases. One, I think, got like something like 9,000 views. But they all thought they were coming in to watch the movie, right? I do call it a watch-along stream. Like, I give me opinion. I do actually make it clear that I can't put the movie on YouTube. Sure, you all know that anyway. This is what I'm baffled about. So you are coming in and telling me and giving out to me, the movie, you didn't put the movie up. These are on YouTube. You know the copyright rules. You can't just throw a whole fucking movie up on YouTube and not expect to be bleeding, have me channel struck.
And
yes,
YouTube loves Noel anyway.
So, yeah. So, what I do is I put the movie on here, just like everybody at home that watches these streams, and they come into the chat and they talk while I'm talking, and they leave their opinion, and we all watch them. It's like we're watching the movie together, but we're not all there. So that's what I mean. I mean, I can't believe I still have to clear that up. But don't be coming in and calling me names because, you thought there was going to be a fucking movie there. I mean, come on, you've been on YouTube long enough now to know that you can't be putting movies up, especially if you run a channel like this. Like, if you have a channel where you're specifically putting up old movies and shit like that, that's fine. But I can't just pop up a whole, like Die Hard, for example, like we watched a couple of weeks ago. I can't just throw that up on screen and not, even though we will be talking and giving commentary on it, YouTube is very strict. I wouldn't get away with that. So cop onto yourselves, man. The level of stupidity in this world is really baffling me. Yeah, like some people didn't know. I mean, I won't even get into the shit, but there's a couple of videos on fucking TikTok that being on X that I've seen of people finding out that there's a secret trick with a hammer and can openers that they never knew and all this. And I'm like, are you really that stupid? You didn't know that's what that was for. I mean, we've really gone to the dogs with intelligence here. The human race has gotten dumber. But anyway, I had to explain. But anyway, movie zones tomorrow, right? It's in the name of the Father. So great movie. Come and join us tomorrow, 8:00 for that one. Oh no, I might go early on that one tomorrow because I'm feeling a bit. Actually, no, I won't. Sorry, I'm at the protest tomorrow, but I will be back for the stream. But I could be in bits by the time I come home. So yeah, so bear with me on that one. It'll either be 7 or 8:00. It won't be any later than 8 anyway. Then Friday, join me. We'll just do some random shit on Friday. Just join me for that anyway. What's Saturday? Nothing, because Doctor Who is gone now for a while. So
until 25th.
Yeah, that's right, Christmas Day. So we'll be back Sunday then to actually watch Classic Who Zone. Yeah, we forgot to do Classic Who because of all the other Doctor Who nonsense. So Classic Who was Enlightenment, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
it was
the one.
Enlightenment. So that's the one. That's Sunday. See, I haven't forgotten. I'm getting better. My memory is not going as much as it was last week. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That's me all wrapped up. So I'll hand you over to Queen Charlotte. And I'm pretty sure while I've been ranting and raving there for the last couple of minutes, PD has been doing the usual and putting the old channels in there for everybody, as he always does, because he's a good man. Yeah, he's slacked off this week. He normally does it without me even saying. He's busy giving out to someone.
Yeah.
Anyway, Queen Charlotte, over to you.
Yep, so Tech 40 tomorrow night, it's our annual Christmas party stream. So join us for usually lots of silliness. Dan usually does some sort of quiz and to make us look lovely and stupid, but we love him. So yeah, we might touch a little bit on the current news, or it might be full Christmas stuff, and then keep an eye out. And then we're going to go on our little mini Christmas break on the lives for Thursday. Then we'll be back with the news and reviews and the podcasts also. Dan is starting to organise our podcast reviews for the specials, and I'm going to be on the Giggle for that one. So that's going to come out soon at some point when we record it. And then also I'm going to be on Geeky Rambles channel over Christmas doing some fun Doctor Who trivia. And then you'll catch me here on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Fantastic. And Mr. PD Rich?
Well, you can sometimes find me in the chat. Well, most of the time in the chat on Rabbi's channel, actually, keeping an eye on things. There's their chief mod over there. Also, go and subscribe to Jack's channel, Bowles Trek's channel, Cinnamon Coast Trance channel, and of course, Gary's channel.
Absolutely. Yes. And Scottish Stavros and Friends wrestle with
he's in there as well.
And Sean from the Nerdaholics as well. And the Gobster. Don't forget the Gobster as well.
Just keep adding stuff for PD to do.
Yeah. Thank you. No, PD, well done. Thank you. Anyway, he's got his Rolodex there, so it's grand. He's just a little bit busy. He's probably Robbo is probably streaming, is he, or something? Are you keeping an eye on something else?
I'm trying to make a model kit at the same time. I'm multitasking.
Oh, okay. So he's busy.
I'm multitasking.
Right, so he's multitasking. He's doing so. There you go. Where else would you get it on a live stream, right? While we're talking, PD has been multitasking and doing a model kit. Any sneak peek of your model now?
It's the Enterprise C. There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
It's a nightmare. It's become a nightmare for about a year now. So,
well, we wish you the best of luck with that. Well, I will say good night to you all. We shall see you all during the week and all of that. Until then, stay safe and all of that and all of that other jazz. And to the other side, I will see you next week. I can't wait for all the fun and the parties to start. I'm only messing. No, seriously, cop onto yourselves, and stop repeating the same mistakes that you've made the last time. Because I tell you one thing, the more you keep telling fans to walk away, that's good. They'll walk away this time. The problem that you'll have is that Doctor Who will lose its primetime spot on Saturday night, and then you will have embarrassed the show. So if you want to actually go that far and embarrass the show and push fans further away, I will say continue your behavior. But it only ends one way, just like it did with the Whittaker era. And let me just remind you guys of one final thing before I go. Before RTD, Bad Wolf Studio stepped in, Doctor Who was getting cancelled. Okay? So that's what you guys need to understand here. We had won because the show was getting cancelled. So if you want to play this game again and do this dance all over again, I say let's fucking dance. And if you don't
Disney's
know what that,
not going to be your saviors.
No, Disney won't be your savior.
There is so much legal trouble.
Disney anyway is a sinking ship, and you don't even realize it's Disney Plus is a sinking ship, I should say. That's where there is. So it is in trouble. So my advice to you guys is to change your attitude and maybe be a little bit more understanding to the fans that have actually supported this show for decades, and maybe show them a little bit of respect and maybe, kind of think, well, do they have a point? Nobody is saying, as I said, that we don't want representation in Doctor Who. Doctor Who, like all other shows, we're a diverse planet anyway. It'd be fucking stupid. Do you know what I mean? Not to
tastefully, if you know what I mean. Do it tastefully.
Exactly.
Not in your face.
But there's a way. There's a way to do it, and the way Doctor Who has done it, and the way the industry as a whole have done it over the last few years has been absolutely lazy, disgraceful, and I think we've seen the results, right? Cancellation after cancellation of other TV shows. You are lucky that Bad Wolf Studios came in when they did and RTD did, but he was waiting for his opportunity, and he came in and he got it, and then they sealed the Disney deal. So, Disney ain't saving you. The ratings are going to continue to go down. My advice to you guys would be to start listening to fans. And RTD, my advice would be is to stop pandering to everybody and just write the best sci-fi fucking show that you can write. As I told you from day one, if you pander to everybody, you're going to fail. And this 60th, in my opinion, was a failure. So do better, because, you know, I'll be on your ass the whole time you're here. I'm not going anywhere, and I'll point out every single mistake that you've made and why this show is in the state that it's in. Be under no illusion you're not going to silence. You might have a podcast with Crystal D and all of those other gobshites on, telling everybody how great the show on.
Yeah, who's watching it?
Nobody's watching that anyway.
Exactly. It's waste time, waste of money.
But fans like us, fans like me and others out there will keep this fandom informed on how this show is doing and what state it's in. Because, you know, some might have walked away, but they care. And they'll continue to care. They're just waiting until it passes hands now, because they just can't take it anymore. Their hearts can't take it anymore. They can't tolerate the abuse anymore. But I've had it for 5 or 6 years that I'm re-energized anyway. Do you know what you have done? You have actually created a monster now, because I'm not going anywhere. What you should have done in the first place is left me alone from day one, but you chose not to, so I'm not leaving. I'm staying, and I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And the more you keep shouting at the fans to get out, the more I'm going to keep pushing back at you and telling you that you have no right to tell fans, long-term fans, that they're no longer welcome. Right? So this is my thing now. If you don't like Doctor Who for what it was, then you guys have no place in this fandom. We will not be replaced. And mark my words, we will not be replaced.
You'll never replace the legacy.
The ratings have reflected that. You will not replace the hardcore fans of Doctor Who. And the replacement thing that they've tried to do has failed under Chibs, and it will fail under RTD. So
you also not find that perfect fan base you're looking for.
So be careful. So be careful what you wish for, because what you will end up doing is destroying something that you all claim that you care about. But I suspect that even if it was cancelled, you will just move on to the next franchise to say is yours and ruin like you do, because you're the locusts. So with that said, I will say good night. I will talk to you all very soon. And until the next one, stay chilled. Give your families a hug. Oh, and by the way, one more thing, very close to my heart, especially this time of the year. Oh, no, this is a serious topic, I swear. A lot of families out there go and buy a pet for Christmas, especially dogs for the kids. And then after a couple of weeks after Christmas, they dump their dogs. I would say to people out there this year, especially this year, do not buy your kids a dog for Christmas. If you're not willing to look after a dog is like looking after a baby. Okay? That's how serious this responsibility is. Dogs are like babies. Okay? They can't tell you when they're sick and all of that. You've got to look after them. It's not a novelty. Okay? So I would say to you, don't get your kids a dog. You want to do something for dogs, then give your money to a dog charity. Help the dog charities out this time, especially during Christmas. Dog charities do struggle with donations and stuff like that. And I think Christmas is the best time of the year to actually give to dog charities, because this is when a lot of dogs, unfortunately, because there are some horrible human beings out there, to be quite frank, abandon their dogs after a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks because they can't deal with the dogs, because they don't realize that a dog is a huge responsibility. And that goes for other pets as well. But because I'm a dog lover, obviously I'm going to say dogs. So please, please, please do not get your kids a dog for Christmas. If you want to actually help dogs, then give your money to a dog charity. Help them out. Help them support dogs over Christmas. Because trust me, you know, dogs have emotions and feelings too. You know, so that's all I'll say. Anyway, I'm off now. Sorry for bumming you all out, but there you go. Had to end on something that I believe in, but don't get any dogs for Christmas. Because if I find out you do and you get rid of it, I'm going to come back and haunt you all. I'll be that ghost, right? I'll be the new ghost, the protector of dogs. And I'll come back and I'll scare you all to death, right? That mistreat dogs. No, you don't know, man. I'm sick of seeing it every year. And then every January you see the fucking posts of people abandoning their dogs. Don't get your kids a dog. End of story. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night.